Hello, World Patriots. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Dave, for joining us also. It's going to be an amazing show. Hope you guys just strapped in. It's going to be a goodie.
Oh, I cannot wait. And we are fortunate enough to have David Weiss from Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole with us. And this would be him up on the screen. How you doing today, sir?
Hey guys, glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Just a quick note to the people that think this is an embarrassment to the Q movement, embarrassment to truth, a ridiculous topic. I was you. I had a podcast out of New York City called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, where we investigated all the deceptions of the world. People started sending me flat earth stuff. I wouldn't watch a 1 minute video.
Yeah.
I banned them from our social media for being so stupid. I wouldn't give them the time of day, period. I would, that was it. And then one day, another respected researcher said that we were talking about some of the deceptions. And she said, I said, the world is so deceived. This is insane. And she goes, oh, David, it might be worse. It's worse than that. I go, what do you mean? And she goes, I think the world might be flat. And that's when I blew a gasket and I couldn't take it. She sent me a couple of videos. I said, that's it. I'm going to just prove the globe. That's easy. There's a million proofs of the globe. You know, there's curvature, there's boats over the horizon, there's sticks and shadows, there's circumnavigation, there's sunsets. I mean, come on. We've known it for 500 years. Over the next 2 weeks, I didn't sleep at all. After 2 weeks, I threw my hands up and I was like, oh my God, we don't live on a spinning ball. And since then, my life has changed dramatically. 6 years later, I'm the host of the Flat Earth podcast, and I'm here talking to you guys. It's insane.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, it's a similar conversation that we have. You know, everybody here knows that I was, quote, the conspiracy guy since 9/11, the conspiracy uncle, friend, son, whatever. And I literally had put it on the shelf. I put Flat Earth on the shelf, and I was like, I literally felt like I dealt with all the conspiracies that were out there. And I said, all right, you know what, let me pull this one off the shelf and I'll make a video and destroy these people because they got to be a bunch of morons for thinking this. And same as Dave, 3 months later, I'm like, I have more questions than answers. Now, am I, and you know, you guys have never heard me come out and say, yes, I am a flat earther. But the fact of the matter is I see so many more problems with the round earth model than I do with the flat earth model. Because let's be 100% honest. Nobody has a picture of what the Earth looks like from space in a real picture, so nobody can say exactly what it's really like. But man, are there sure some problems with that round Earth model? I mean, there are certainly some problems.
Think about this: if you knew nothing about the Earth, you're brand new, you appeared one day, you know nothing about the Earth. You walked outside, would you ever think it's a ball? No, you would see it as motionless and flat. Over, you know, water lays flat. And so, but we're told, yeah, you might see it that way because it's so big, but that's a deception and you have to know it's a globe. But meanwhile, they tell us planets that we can't go touch and see. You know, when we look through a telescope at them, they look like just lights in the sky. Those are terra firma spheres, okay, yeah. Made out of, you know, whatever. And we have to believe that. It's absolute nonsense.
Yeah, and Severe, I mean, you could probably touch on that because he's going right into your wheelhouse. And Severe has a P900, and he's done some of the zoom-ins, and it's pretty amazing what he's found and things that we can zoom in that are supposed to be, you know, 200,000 miles away. So, Severe, what do you got on that one?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've seen, you know, a bunch of the tests that people have done, you know, clips up on YouTube, looking over, you know, very long spans of land that supposedly, you know, you should not be able to see X amount of distance due to the curvature of the Earth, and we use their numbers, 8 inches per mile squared. You know what I mean? So we're using what the scientific community is stating as fact. So using their own numbers, there are certain things at certain distances that we should technically not be able to see because they would be behind the curvature of the Earth. But I pulled my camera out and I've done the same tests that people could go and see on YouTube right now, where if you bring it back into focus with the nice, you know, high power lens, nice good zoom on it, you could bring all this stuff right back. And that goes for, you know, boats going over the horizon. It goes for, you know, the what we were touching on last week with the I believe that was the Chicago one, right? The Mirage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Jeranism's intro.
They try to chalk it up to refraction and light bending, and what you're seeing is not what you're seeing, and it's, you know, typical. It falls right in with the rest of their playbook.
There's like an 18 or 20 hour time lapse of Chicago that goes through all the different atmospheric conditions of the day and the night, and the buildings just stay there. So that's an impossibility. You know, you said earlier there's no photos of Earth, and there's none. NASA admits it. They admit that they're, you know, constructs made from strips of data, just from high altitude planes and a paintbrush. But somehow we have complete pictures of other planets like Pluto. This is the latest picture of Pluto. Okay. This is it. Right. And don't tell me that's not Pluto's head on Pluto.
Yeah.
Right. And did you know that Pluto the dog was created the same year as Pluto the planet was discovered?
Oh, wow. And is it even a planet now anymore? I mean, they keep changing things, what they say are planets and what aren't. I mean, they can't keep their own story straight. And, you know, while we're talking about planets, Dave, what about like the numerology about all these planets? Like most of the people, even in the comment section, were commenting last time, you know, we have a 23.4 degree tilt, which would be 66.6 degrees from center, right? Or 90 degrees. And all these numbers, there's so many numbers that add up that are like satanic. I love this one.
We are orbiting at 66,600 miles per hour. So around the sun. Okay. And we're chasing the sun at another 500,000 miles per hour. But the numerology is just ridiculous. The curvature formula, there's sixes in that also. I can't even remember all of them. But once you start looking at the what you actually believe, if you believe in the ball, you can't believe it anymore. The people that believe the ball and fight the flat earth don't know the ball model. And what they think they know of the flat earth model isn't what we know. Like the Flat Earth Society, that's controlled opposition. I think you guys mentioned that. You go there, if you search flat earth, you can end up there. And they say that the earth is rising at 9.8 meters per second. Nobody believes that. They say a whole bunch of crap. And that is a government controlled opposition to make, you know, hey, I researched flat earth. I spent 10 minutes at the Flat Earth Society, or if longer, you're even in deeper, and you'll never look back.
Yeah. So why would they ever even do that, right? Why would they infiltrate, you know, the Flat Earth Society if there wasn't something to it, right? And that's how I look at it. And, you know, the graphic that you're showing behind you, Dave, is a perfect illustration as to how the hell are we seeing the same stars every night? How are we seeing, you know, Polaris basically in the same position every night while we're spinning through the galaxy? It's expanding, it's spinning this way, it's spinning that way. But, yep, every night we can see the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, and all these things in the same area.
You made a comment, and you got your facts a little confused on your last show where you talked about it. Where you talked about when you could put a pipe up and line it up with the North Star.
Yes, please correct me.
You don't have to. You line it up with the North Star. You don't have to wait until the same time next year, or the same time the next night. It will always be there, day and night. Whenever
so it
you
never
look through
moves.
That, if you can see stars, the North Star will be in that pipe.
So that's even more ridiculous to the fact of how is everything spinning out of control. If you can set that pipe and look at it anytime, that's even more solid proof for me.
Yeah. You know, and we if you look at the stars, like tonight, you go out at 10 o'clock, midnight, whatever, and mark where the stars are in the sky. Say, all right, this one's next to the corner of the house. This one's next to here. In a year from now or 10 years from now, same night, those stars will be in the exact same position, even though we've traveled billions of miles. And supposedly all the stars are moving in all different directions inside our spinning galaxy. It makes absolutely no sense. And their answer to that is, well, they're so far away that those billions of miles make no difference.
Isn't that convenient, right?
Yeah.
It's so convenient. Yeah, I mean, and I don't even know what area you want to go on next. Severe, you got anything popping in your head at the moment? I mean, I got all sorts of things we could talk about, but I don't want to leave you out of the conversation. And thank you for that, Dave, because, you know, all the people that watch me, they realize I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, he's trying to correct me. I want to be correct. If I'm giving wrong information, I want to make sure I'm giving the correct information.
Are you guys watching the chat too? Because any questions, like if someone thinks they have a flat earth killer or a globe proof, I want to answer it. You know, throw it in the chat and I
had just said that. Yeah, I just put it in the comments that we're going to be Do Ibolga, so thanks for having Dave on. Atheists posing as Christians, pushing flat earth. I like that one. Let's see.
Is that the name of a channel, or is he accusing me of something?
I think he's accusing us of being atheists posing as Christians, pushing a flat earth. Because, I mean, I think the Big Bang would be more of the atheist side of things, wouldn't it, really?
I don't know. I don't even want to go down that road.
Yeah, so any questions, guys, just tag me at SpaceShot76 in the chat, and we might open up the phones a little bit later. But rather than just sitting here, guys, and being like, you guys are idiots, give me a reason why we're idiots. Give us a question that's gonna stump Dave. Give us a question that's gonna expose us atheists, whatever you want to say. But
when I put up a video or I do something, the comments I get from the ball believers, which I used to be one, we all did, are, you're an idiot. This is dumb. This is the dumbest crap ever. Get out of your mother's basement. I mean, but I'm like, and my answer is always the same. Is that your best ball proof? Right. Yeah. And they never have anything except the old basic 101. There's basically 21 questions that everyone has pre-programmed into them. If the earth is flat, how come nobody's falling off the edge? Wouldn't the oceans fall off the edge? Wouldn't it be a tourist spot? The edge of the earth. Who's guarding the edge? All of these things are answered beautifully. And their answers actually prove that we don't live on a ball. This is a shot behind me. It's just a balloon that one of the Flat Earth crew put up. And it's basically showing daylight next to night. It's just day next to night. There's day off in the distance. And then literally the throw of the light from our sun, which I believe is electric in nature, it just stops. It doesn't go for billions and trillions of miles. That doesn't make any sense. The sun, there's two types of light. There's daylight, which is the electrification of the gases. So nitrogen, which is the majority of our upper atmosphere, fluoresces blue. That might be one of the reasons, or the main reason, or part of the reason that the sky is blue. Like a Tesla coil will light up a fluorescent bulb. Think of the sun like a Tesla coil. And then night can be right next to day without a barrier. It's amazing. If you watch the video, this one is from Dan Dimensions. If you go to his channel, it's probably one of the top videos because he keeps reposting it.
Yeah. Severe, I know you had something you wanted to touch on.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying on the last show, the whole Tesla coil thing. I mean, if you look at it in terms of that, it makes a lot more sense than anything that they would tell us. None of this stuff computes. It just does not add up. It's not provable. And they don't want you to believe in what you could see, what you could observe with your own eyes, your own senses. It's just like everything else in their playbook. Don't believe what you can see and what you can prove. Believe what we tell you. And
don't believe your God-given senses. Believe nonsense.
Exactly right.
Yeah. The first question. So, what would be the reason for coming up with a supposedly round Earth?
That's the last question, and I meant to say that at the beginning because you're going to throw up your hands and go, "Well, what's the reason? What difference does it make?"
Yeah.
Let me answer that right after I point this
Sure.
little analogy out. So you got the Earth here, and that's and then 6 months later, the Earth is over there. Okay, you with me?
Yeah.
And so the two guys are, let's say they're on the equator and it's midnight and they're looking up. They're looking straight out that way and that way. And they're seeing stars in the sky. There's no way in the heliocentric model that they would see any of the same stars, but they see many of the same stars. Okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That definitely. I mean, dude, there's so many issues, and it's easily explainable on our side model, I guess you could say, but on the round Earth, it's like when you have to come up with so many kind of odd answers for something, that's like when it's not cut and dry. That's when it gives me pause and gives me questions.
Is America the biggest continent on the Earth?
It depends on which picture you're looking at that they CGI'd.
Yeah. So my question is, all of the other continents are on the other side of this official NASA picture of a globe. So China, everything, England, everything is on the other side of this ball.
Yeah. What do you people in the chat have to say about that? Where's the rest of the landmass if our continent is right here and is taking up basically the whole half of the freaking planet?
Right.
So,
and if you look, these are two different pictures. And look, the United States is twice the size in the 2012 one or 2002, whatever it is.
Oh, they must have been closer when they took the picture.
Well, it doesn't matter because both spheres are the same size.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
go ahead.
I was just thinking of the stupid answers that they would give you,
You know what? Here's the thing. When you truly believe something from your core, and everybody believes the ball from their core because they were taught it before they could speak. Sesame Street is about, all the Teletubbies, all of those shows, they're all ball programming. You go to school, when you first go to kindergarten, in first grade, your teacher is a god to you. Oh my God, they're going to teach me. This is great. And they teach you about the globe. They teach you the foundation of your world is this belief. So, having that taken away from you is difficult. And then when you have this core belief, you'll make up stuff to support your belief, because the emotional strain that it causes if you don't is more than some people can handle.
Yeah, Sam Hain asked that question towards the end of the show. I know he ended his show with Jeranism the other day with that one with Jason Goodman, who was good enough to come on. Let's see. So,
I can answer that now, or we can answer it later. It's just, it's the. You know what? I always like answering it at the end, but I'm going to answer it at the beginning.
Sure.
So the reason is because they're trying. This is all about power and control. They want to control our minds. The government is to govern the mind. Govern is to control. Ment is the mind. It's to control the mind. And we are these incredibly spiritual, powerful beings on Earth. Where our consciousness lays, where we come from, that's a whole nother discussion. But we are at the center of creation. We have free will. Okay. People are like, oh, free will. Well, the leader more powerful than us. That's not true. We are the many. They are the few. They cannot take something from us that breaks our free will, that breaks our God-given free will. The only way they can do it is make us willingly give it up. They tell us what they're doing, and if we don't say no, we're complicitly saying yes. If we think that we are an insignificant speck, that the story, if you believe in the ball, you believe once there was nothing, it exploded and created everything. It created an earth that coalesced, and it created a sun that only pulled hydrogen into it for some reason, and not any dirt or rocks or anything. And it's burning, and we're falling around each other in perfect sync. And lightning struck and created an amoeba that turned into a fish that grew legs and climbed out of the water, found another fish that they had sex, and it had a monkey that had a retarded baby, and it became a human. I mean, that's what you have to believe. And then so with that belief, you're spinning and lost in space. You're insignificant. There's trillions of other worlds out there, and you are powerless. Then they add in, asteroids are going to kill us in any moment. Nuclear war is going to kill us. We're running out of resources, global warming. So now you're in fear, you're insignificant, and the government's here to take care of you, and you give your power away. You give up your right to be human. You give up everything, which is what's going on in the world right now. So Why does it matter? It matters more than most flat earthers even realize.
Yeah, and Dave, you remember, because like I said, and we've talked about, I've forgotten a lot of things on this because it's, I've been doing the Q thing for the last few years, but there was something that they tried to do with background radiation that was actually proving that everything kind of goes around us and that we are the center. Do you remember what I'm talking about? There was like a background X-ray or background radiation.
Yeah, I'm not the right. I'm not too familiar with all of that, but there's this whole thing with the ether spinning. Globebusters, which is a show on YouTube, just did a whole show on ether. If you want to watch it, it's 4 hours from Sunday, and they talk about the I can't even say the word. Luminescent ether, and how it is what's spinning above us. Flat Earth, globe earthers mix the models. They go, oh, all the other planets are round, there are spheres, and there's a flat Earth in there, and the gravity would turn that back into a sphere. None of that comes into play. All of the lights in the sky that we see, the planets, which were called wandering stars until recently, everything we see in the sky is within the Earth system. Okay? It's all within the Earth system, and we don't know how far it is, how big they are. It's all just in the Earth system, and it is all circling around the center of the Earth, which is the North Pole.
Yep, very interesting. And I'm looking through some more questions here that people are, talking about the firmament, and we touched on that last time. This would probably be a really quick one. Flat Earth or hollow Earth? I'm getting questions, Dave. I don't know if you've entertained the hollow Earth or the concave, convex Earth type of theory.
Yeah, so I used to really be interested in hollow Earth, but hollow Earth is a ball with a sun inside the Earth. A lot of that it just really doesn't hold weight. But if you look at the flat Earth, and there is a impenetrable barrier above us, which is called the firmament or the dome, and what's above that? Well, many of us think that it's liquid of some sort, like water. What's above that? We don't know. So what's below us? Okay. Well, the deepest hole ever dug is called the Great Borehole. It's in Russia, and they worked on it for years, and they basically hit an impenetrable barrier just short of 8 miles. And they couldn't drill through it. They couldn't blow it up. They couldn't do anything. Some crazy stories coming out of there too. So that's like digging through the skin of an apple and then hitting an impenetrable barrier. And then somehow science knows that what the center of the Earth looks like. Nonsense. They don't know anything beyond that. So could there be another world below us? I don't know. I can't go down there, but sure. Could be. Makes a lot more sense than another planet, that coalesced from nothing.
Yeah, and they've shown. I've seen videos of like National Geographic going way down in the ocean and then seeing what looks like a lake in the ocean, and then they try to go down into it, and it's like, dunk, 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 dunk. They get stopped and like, oh yeah, that's because it's high in sodium and high in salt. I'm like, really? Like liquid salt is stopping a hover thing or a submarine? That's kind of weird.
They're telling us something there. I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like you're not going to have all the answers for everything, guys. And what I'm telling you is that the long and short of what I'm trying to get across to you guys is that there are some huge, huge issues with the way that they present themselves. Like, I don't know if you're ready to jump to the ISS, but like, how many issues have you seen, especially during live streams, where they're passing something to somebody else? Like the hat one was one of my favorites, where the guy looked like he tried to pass him a hat or something, but he grabbed nothing out of the guy's hand and puts nothing on the table next to him. And I'm like, that's a big problem right there.
Yeah, that was from one of my videos. I had found that. And then the guy that goes by in the background hanging from the harness, and you could see his harness.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, he's hanging on a harness and just getting pushed by. There's so many mistakes on the ISS, but you only need one that shows them hanging from wires or swimming in pools, and then they're lying, and then the whole thing unravels from there. But it's amazing that the people that want to hold on to the globe, they have to hold on to the space program, and they will just deny out of endless proof.
Hey Dave, do you mind if I pop up a couple seconds of your flat earther goes to the IFS?
Sure.
I think that's great. And if you want to let everybody know, let me just make sure I'm sharing with you guys.
I could share my app, which is the greatest learning tool.
Yeah, let's do that. You have the capability to share right now. You should be all set. Let me know if there's any issues.
Yeah, so I created an app. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. And it's available on Android. And can you guys see the whole thing and see my mouse?
Yeah, let me just minimize so the only person that's talking can be seen, so you can see more of it. So yeah, and this is actually going to answer one or two of the questions that were, how do the Zodiac work, and how how does this work?
So I'm going to do about a 2-minute presentation here showing you what you're seeing here. You see the hour hand. The sun is 1 hour behind the hour hand. Do you know why that is?
I do not.
Because we're on daylight savings time right now, which is fake time. They're throwing us off by making us think that the sun should be ahead of itself. So the sun is 1 hour behind. In a month from now, or whenever daylight savings time comes in, I can go into settings and just turn that daylight savings off, and bam, the hour hand is pinned. The sun is pinned to the hour hand.
That's cool.
So right now the sun is basically over the equator because we're right near the equinox. The equator is that red line. The yellow outer line is the winter solstice. So the sun will make it out there by December. I could jump forward to December, November, December 23rd. Boom, right there. The sun is over there. The outer southern lands have their summer because the sun is closer to them, and we're having our winter because the sun is as far as it gets from us. That's the peak of the winter. So on June 21st, the sun will be all the way in here on the Tropic of Cancer, closer and higher in the sky to all of us in the north, and we have our summer. The sun laps the moon once every 28 days. Okay. And if I turn on the stars, so you can see the sun is, is slowly, when it's opposed to the moon, it'll be a full moon. I'm going to stop that. I can turn on the stars. The stars, the zodiac laps the sun once a year. So the sun will actually move backwards through each sign over the course of a year. It'll be in each sign for about a month.
Oof. Now, Dave, really quick, while you're still on this topic, I had a couple questions, especially from Bree, who does the graphic work for my channel. She was asking, she's really big into astrology too. And, we've talked about it. And I was like, well, how do you think, planets that are 300, 400 million miles away affect us, no matter how big they are? I mean, but if you bring those planets closer to us, like this model suggests, then it would be more effective. So I don't know what your thoughts are on astrology.
Yeah. So, I used to laugh at astrology. How can a rock, millions and millions of miles away affect my day? That's the dumbest thing ever, right? Even if we had a little bit of its gravity, that doesn't make any sense to me. And astronomy, I took 4 years of astronomy in college. 4 years. You know why? Because I was so good at it. I was awesome at it. The girls loved me because I would help them with the class. I was the man, and it's all nonsense. So in this crazy world that we live in, all of the lights in the sky are, I believe that they're sentient. Okay. That's just me. I have no proof of it, but they're all named after gods. They definitely affect us. The moon definitely affects us, has a lot to do with reproduction on Earth. There's so much unknown, but astrology, they say, millionaires, some billionaires use astrology. Billionaires use something. I forget the quote. Of course, I'm butchering it. But astrology is a true thing. But just going back to the app here. So it shows us. It shows us where I am right now. It's 3:30. You can see where the sun is, and it makes sense. You can see the Earth is about half lit up and half dark because we're right near the equinox. As that sun goes out, the shape of that darkness will change, and we can demonstrate that with experiments with like a glass dome and a light, moving a light above it. I just added this world time, so that inner ring shows you what time it is. So right now it's 5 a.m. in Western, 5:30 a.m. in Eastern Australia. Right? So if I turn on the time lapse, you could just see. So it basically shows you the time everywhere around the world. Right now, it's 9 p.m. in Johannesburg, South Africa. Make sense?
Yeah, and I don't want to interrupt you too much, but because you're kind of talking about the sun and the moon, so I do see people talking about, how does the moon and sun work? And then the other thing I wanted you to touch on real quick was, because I heard Jeranism talk about it the other day, of the fact of the ball Earth model is in the winter, the sun is actually closer, and the summer, the sun is further away. It's in their model, right?
You talked to a flat earther about that. Hold that question. Let me just finish showing you a couple things on the app, and then we can get rid of it, and we'll talk about that. But that is a great one. So on the app, it has a compass, which shows you that east and west are really circles, and north and south are straight lines, where south is every direction away from the center. This doesn't prove the globe or the ball because it works on both. The only thing that proves it is circumnavigation. No one's ever circumnavigated going south because they would just go away and never come back. Nobody's ever gone down here and then reappeared up here. You can go west from where is the United States? You can go west all the way around, go over to Japan, all the way around. You keep going west, 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 and boom, you're back to where you started from. And you can go east, same thing. But if you go, if you want to go from the U.S., you can go north, and then you keep going straight. You're now going south, and you're over in the Philippines. Or you can go west and get there. Or you can go east and get there, which is a little longer. But you can't go south and reappear over here. You could on a ball, but no one's ever done it, so that's got to tell you something.
Flight paths prove that.
Yeah, flight paths. We can look at that in a second. But just real quick, in the app you have the question mark, and those are the top questions. Where's the edge? You know, what about gravity? You know, why the lie? You know, if you hit one of those, up comes a full playlist of videos about why the lie.
Nice.
Right? And so all of your questions are answered right here. There's other information sources on here, playlists for people in different languages.
International, nice.
And then every day on the left, right over here, is a new video, a daily video. And I have longer ones on the weekend, short ones during the week. But this one, I bumped today's video just like an hour ago, and I put our show in here, and I sent out a little push notification so people know that we're live. So if I click that, it's going to bring me right to this show.
Awesome. I heard that's a good show.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. You got a great guest today, I heard.
He's awesome.
And then what I tell people is, if you hate Flat Earth, if you think this is the dumbest thing ever, get the app. It's $2.99, by the way. I quit my job. This is how I support myself. It's the best $2.99 you ever spend. It's a half a beer, okay? And I tell people, take the Flat Earth app challenge. Just watch each video, the daily video for 2 weeks, and then you will know it's not true, that the globe isn't true. And I get the same thing. It goes, you know what? I got your app. I couldn't wait. So I hit the video archive button, which is right next to that. And I started going through basically it gives you all of the videos, all of the past videos.
Oh,
so
cool.
This is September. And if I click the top, there are all the other months. So it's a pool of information, just a ton of information. Yeah. And the last thing is on the top right, it's got your dark sky weather. If you click the weather, it brings you to dark sky, which I believe you have to pay for if you want it on your phone, but it comes free with the app. All right.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And he's keeping up on this app too, guys. And if you guys are interested, there is a link for it in the description box. It's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac app. Very, very cool. I grabbed it the other day. And
the last thing is, I have a subscription option in there, 99 cents a month or $10.99 a month, or $10.99 a year, or $10.99 a year. You get $1 off. If you hate Flat Earth, do not subscribe. The only thing you get is a little pop-up once a day. You can use the app all day long. Doesn't matter, as many times as you want. You get a little pop-up that says, would you like to subscribe? You can exit out without waiting a split second, and it's gone. Okay? You still get everything. I only want you to subscribe if you wake up every day and go, ooh, wonder what today's video is. Oh, that was a good one. I'm really loving this. Then feel free to support me. But until then, just get the app and take the challenge, and you'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Patreon way. It's a way to support the guy. He's doing a lot of good work here. I mean, that app is cool. It's definitely high quality graphics as well.
You could change the backgrounds. Just pick different backgrounds. You can have it automatically change every time you open the app. It'll be a different background. There's so much in here. It'll blow you away. So
yeah, and let me.
Here's my pitch on that. And the reason I'm pitching it is not because I'm not in this for the money, because I started a company and I left it. All right, because what's going on in the world, the deceptions, I couldn't go another year. So I'm doing this to get by. But this app is the best way to be woken up yourself and to wake up friends. When you start talking about Flat Earth, they're scratching their head. You break out the app, and everyone does the same thing. They go, oh, that's how it works, right? So you get the same thing every time. So,
yeah, very cool. So yeah, the last question was the model of the Ball Earth model in the summer and winter. And they say it's the angle of it, whatever. But so supposedly the sun is further away in the summer. Am I getting that right?
Yeah. So they so in the helio-nonsensical model, which I have renamed it, we are closer to the sun during our winter. The north is closer to the sun. Okay, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. We're like 3 or 4 million miles closer. And we're told that it's because if these two fingers are the north and this is the south and this is a ball, we're tilted towards the sun. So we're getting a direct line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the south is having the winter because that light is spread out, right? And then 6 months later, we're tilted the other way. So the sun is more spread out on us, and that makes our winter. That is nonsense, because
it's laughable.
If you think about a ball, it doesn't matter the axis of that ball, if it's tilted away or not, it's still spinning. So the sun is coming up and down. If the reason for seasons in the helio-nonsensical model was true, every morning, every day of the year would be Arctic freezing, because the sun is down on the lowest part of the earth. The sun is. Are you still there?
Yeah, we're still here. I'm just moving some stuff around. Go ahead.
So the sun is down at at 0 degrees, and in the summer, when you watch the sun appear on the horizon, you can feel that heat on your face. In the winter, if you wait until the sun is at its highest point in the sky, which is a much more direct angle, you can barely feel the heat. Okay? And it's supposedly closer too. It's utter nonsense. Seasons prove flat Earth.
Yeah, it makes no sense, some of these things, and this is one I want to touch on. But Severe, you got any questions you want to before I hop into this one?
Yeah, no. I'm just checking out the comments in the chat, seeing where people are, and there's still a lot of people that really just, I don't know if they're like purposely just tuning out what they're seeing in front of them, or cognitive dissonance, or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, I would just suggest that people don't blindly just hold on to what they've been told and trust their senses a little bit more.
Yeah.
Nobody likes having their ball taken away. We're all children, and the foundation of our world is a ball. And people don't like change.
True.
People don't want change that destroys the foundation of all their beliefs. Everything you believe is based on a ball. You know that Columbia Pictures or Universal Pictures, and I think when Universal is the big movie studio,
mm-hmm.
they had the spinning globe, and I think it's in 1947 or 1950. Okay, how did they have a spinning globe before NASA got into space and figured out what the globe looked like?
Very
it's
interesting.
All pre-programming.
Very interesting. So Dave, here's just one thing. I touched on it last week.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started looking into this flat Earth stuff, I was under the impression, which is obviously very stupid, because what my impression would have been a solar or a lunar eclipse, right? So I thought something was like basically getting in the way of the moon, making it like this. But if a
lot of people make that mistake.
Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, now what the real story is it's just the direct sun from the light from the sun to the moon. And my big question is, how do we have this little slice here, and then when we go over to the first quarter moon or whatever it is, it's literally almost a straight line. So my problem comes in with the severity of the cut, and then all of a sudden, if the moon is a sphere like they tell us, right? And I don't know what it is or isn't, but if it's a sphere and everything is a sphere up there, why shouldn't this should be the line? That terminator line should be the same shape, whether it's this or this or this or whatever it is. It should be the same throughout, no matter what angle. You should always see that terminator line in the same shape, in my opinion.
Yeah, the great opinion. The question is, why do you even expect that? Because, you expect what you're expecting because you believe that the moon is a sphere. But again, we don't know it's a sphere. I'm pulling up a video right now.
Sure,
we did a little experiment where we showed that we don't know what shape the moon is. Now, does it look like a sphere? Absolutely, right? Yeah. So let me just pull up a quick window here. How do I share? Where's my?
Let me get you back up on here. I'll get rid of this.
Screen share a window. Here it is. Okay, you guys can see this.
1 sec. I got you back on this show. Gotcha.
All right. So these are all. Which one is a sphere? Okay. Can you tell? Are they all spheres? Are some of them spheres?
They look like,
right?
Yeah.
And this is the moon is worse because the moon is up in the sky. And I got something else to show you about the moon, which shows that it is close and it is not lit up by the sun. We don't know how big these are. It could be 5 centimeters. It could be 10 miles. You don't know how big these are because you don't know how far they are. You don't know what shape they really are. Let's see. Here we go. So the first one is, well, it's a half a sphere. Okay. The second one is worse than that. I think it's flat. And the next one is a bowl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. And I believe the next one is the only one that is a sphere. Okay.
That's crazy.
So again, these are things that are out of our reach. We don't know what anything that anything in the sky. This is from Crow 777 radio. The only thing you can truthfully say is that they're lights, period. There's nothing else you can say about them. You don't know how big they are, how far they are. The sun, 93 million miles away. Nobody knows how they figured that out. There's no one that has the math other than, one day Venus transited the sun, and observers from, the East Coast and the West Coast watched it and timed it. And it started at different times for each location. And because Venus is about the same size as Earth, they were able to do some extreme mathematics and determined the distance of the sun, right? What's wrong with that? Their math was perfectly accurate. Do you know what's wrong with it?
What's that? Many things.
They assumed Venus was the same size as the Earth. I'm going to assume Venus is the size of a basketball, okay?
Yeah.
And you can't prove me wrong. So, they're taking assumptions and then doing crazy math to prove their world. And the biggest globe proofs are water spins opposite in Florida, in Australia. That's not even true. The boats going over the curvature, that's proven to be not true.
Oh, Dave, what about the people on the equator that they spin the water one way and then they show you guys have shown how they actually do that. They manipulate. Yeah, they manipulate it. So they make it look like, hey, on this side of the equator, the water spins this way, but on the other side of it,
20 feet apart. It's so ridiculous. It's how they pour the water into the basin.
Yeah. So pour it the other way, lady.
Let's see. A little bit of a turn to it.
Yeah, there's so many. So I mean, what do you think are your biggest top 2, 3, 4 slam dunks as to there's a big problem with the ball earth model? What are your top go-tos? Your most definite? And I'm going to look at some questions here, guys.
Yeah. So there's some great observations that we've done where we have known distances to fixed objects. So watching a boat, you don't really know how far that boat is. Although, on ships, you can get their tracking information and find out how far they are. But something fixed like an oil rig or a windmill farm out in the water, you can get the exact distances to these things. And using the globe math, which is 8 inches per mile squared, because as you go farther, the drop increases. We know by the height of the camera how far the horizon should be over calm water. So there's a recent video done where there was these windmills that were 8 and 12 miles out or whatever the distance was. The camera was 1 foot above the water. And at the height the camera was, I believe the horizon should have been 1.9 miles away. But not only could we see the bases of these windmills, we can see the water beyond those windmills. And beyond the water, we can see land that the highest point on that land should be miles below, or at least a mile below the earth, below the curve. And we can see it. And the only explanation that the ballers have is that it's crazy refraction, that the light bends up and it stops right at the horizon. The horizon is not a physical place. It's an optical place. And as you move, it moves. There's no physical horizon, geographic horizon on the Earth, because the Earth is not a ball. And on a flat Earth, when you stand up, you can see farther. When you get down lower, your horizon moves towards you.
Yeah, I'm trying to pop up on the screen here some, I did last time, telephone poles.
Yeah, we were taught that when you go up higher, the reason you can see farther is because you're seeing over the curvature of a ball, and that's not not the case.
I was watching Dwayne Kellum's videos. He used to, I don't know if he still is, but he was putting up a lot of those videos of him doing the high altitude balloons.
Yes.
And at nighttime, right? And I was telling Severe the other day that, and I think he's seen him as well, but like once he gets up to the elevation where you can see the sun again, you would expect it would be down on an angle, but yet it's not. It's like level with you. So it's like, how is it beyond the other side of the curve? But yet it's still up there where this, what is it? I don't know how high he goes up, but what, 50 miles, 70 miles? I don't know.
I'm going to show you guys I'm so far, I think I'm the only one that's filmed this, and which that sounds kind of sketchy. Like, why am I the only one? It's because you have to have a specific set of circumstances and the wherewithal to actually film this.
Yeah.
And it shows that the sun literally stops going down at the very end of the day. It sits on the horizon, and then it fades away into the distance. It's going to blow your mind. Have you guys seen my sun fade out video?
I did. I think me and him looked at it the other day, but because, we talked about it briefly in the show last week without really showing too much examples, except for the street lights that I was just showing. And just for people who weren't here last time, the perspective deal. You go on the top of your street and look down the road at the telephone poles. You see how they all get lower and lower and lower. And it's not like the power company said, hey, let's make them lower and lower in the street. No, they're all the same height. It's your perspective that makes it appear like they're getting lower. So similar to the sun, looks like it's setting. It's just getting further away from you.
Right. And when it goes further away, you're having atmospheric magnification. That's not a theory. It's a proven thing. Science agrees that things get magnified as they're shrinking. So they're shrinking due to perspective, but they're getting magnified due to the amount of moisture in the air. And that changes every day. That's why sometimes you look at a building, half of it's gone. The next day, a quarter of it's gone. The next day, none of it's gone. Then half of it's gone again. That has to do with magnification. Can you guys see my screen? So this is we have a lens in front of the candle, which we'll call the sun, and that represents the atmospheric magnification. And so it looks like it's going below. Why is it going that way? All right. So hold on a second. So let me just show you. So, here we go. So watch in the camera. It's watching the sun go away across a straight table, and look, it sets below the table. Can you guys see that?
That's crazy. Yeah,
it's gone.
We got a
but
remote
it's
control
still
car
there. Okay.
Yeah, anybody that's in the chat section really and rolls their eyes at what I just said about the sun not setting but going away from us, just watch this video. Like,
yeah, well, look, here's a better shot. Look up top here. So this is what the camera's seeing, and this is it setting, let's say, over the ocean, whatever.
Yeah. I think Dave, the ultimate ignorance is somebody that thinks they know everything and doesn't give anything a chance to look into it. No matter how smart you are, if you think you have everything locked in, I think the ultimate ignorance is to, not look into something and on top of it try to, bash other people for their beliefs, which I think is pretty sad.
Well, right. You guys have seen what they do to people that come out and start speaking about this, that are like in the NBA and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
The second that they come out and talk about it, or it comes out that they were discussing it, the first thing that they did was, I forget who it was, what player it was, but they made him go to like a NASA training thing and all this.
Was it Kyrie?
Yeah, Kyrie. I mean,
and they literally reprogrammed
Shaq. Yeah, whether they're reprogramming them or they're just like, you're going to lose all your money. This is what you're going to do, and you're going to shut up. That's. It's one way or the other. It doesn't matter. You guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So this is my drone. Today, this is a perfectly clear, crystal clear sky. And the sun was going down, 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 down at a quick pace. And then it just stopped. And it sat there for 8 minutes. And then it just disappeared. This is super sped up. Okay? We'll watch it again. Let me go to the end here where show it a couple times. So the sun There it is. And it just fades into the thickness of the air. Okay, it's reverse. And it literally, it sat there on, now you might call this the horizon, but this is not the horizon. This is the atmospheric deck of opacity. What is that, Dave? You're making up words. Well, yep, I did actually make that up. When you look through atmosphere, even though it's clear, after a certain distance, it becomes opaque. Okay? And especially the lower you are, the thicker, dirtier the air is, and it just becomes opaque. Over a short distance, 20, 30, 40 miles, that deck merges with the horizon. It just compresses into the horizon, and even though it looks like the horizon, that line is way above your eye level. So if this is the line, if you guys can see me, as the sun goes beyond it, because it's over your eye level, it sets.
That's crazy. And the lensing is true. And somebody had a question in relation to that. Geez, where did it go? How does the moon? No. I'm losing my questions here. They're flying so fast, but that's a good thing. Let me see. For some,
Whoa.
I just haven't have enough infants. All right, so math or God? Somebody says laughable. Every argument can be refuted with basic science, says Mr. Vax 2. So I would just say, too, guys, that of what we've seen over the last few years, all of the lies that we've seen, all of the spying that we've seen, all these other things, all the things that have been exposed, at what point do you think the government would stop lying to you? You know, NASA's budget is, or was, when I was following this stuff, Dave, a few years ago, their budget was like $60 million a day or something ridiculous.
It's like 60 some odd $1 million a day. What do we get? Velcro and memory foam?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I wanted to show you a video too. Is that on your app there, or something you can pop up, or you want me to?
Which video?
The one when you went to the ISS.
Do you have it handy, or I can find it?
Yeah, I could pop it up. But you want to let the folks know how much money was spent here to do what you did to make that video.
Yeah, and it was spent. I spent like $23, I think, and I don't know what I'm doing.
All right, let me share the screen here and the sound. Yeah, he says, so, for somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, I think you did a pretty good job. I always mix the T and the R. There we go. So let's just pop this up real quick, and we'll pop this on the screen so you guys can see it. Here's Dave's channel, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Why are my notifications not on? There we go.
Look, I'm in the space station.
This is so funny.
It's that simple.
It's so funny. Here we go. All right. So International Flat Earther goes to the IFS. And, we can talk about all the different issues that the International Space Station has on it. But, how much money did you say, Dave? 20-something bucks or something like that?
$24.
All right. So he spent $24, guys. And, with a budget of $60 million. Yeah, you can see a little, a little things on the edge or whatever.
I don't see the video. Oh,
you're not seeing this?
No.
You should be. I'm sharing this.
I see your desktop.
Oh, yeah, wait. I see your desktop.
Oh, am I sharing the wrong screen? Hold on, let me stop. Let me share the correct screen, though.
And by the way, I redid it, and it came out better because I got better lighting. You just have to light the back screen up a little bit.
Ah, very interesting. Oh, you guys see it now?
Yeah, so that the one had a little shadow.
Yeah, the slightest shadow. But if you're talking about $20 versus a budget of $60 million a day, and here's how he's doing it, apparently. He's got the green suit on. That's great. I love it. But, they can do it. And, we've seen harnesses. We've seen so many errors. We've seen so many problems with the way they do this. And my question always comes back to, no matter how crappy the footage is, no matter how crappy it would have looked, why didn't you show the original? If you could do it, you would have shown the original, right?
Absolutely.
So, for people that say, oh, you guys are idiots for thinking this, look at this thing flying across the sky here. And that's
my drone taker-outer.
My drone taker-outer. So that's just a little example there, guys. But pretty crazy to think that, with $20-something you can do things like that. And we've seen so many issues. And Dave, they're always of the live variety. How about the one where the guy was playing a song live on a guitar with the guy that was up in the space station when they supposedly have, 11-second delay?
Right. It absolutely makes no sense. So I wanted to show you a video. I wasn't going to do it, but then somebody in the chat said I should show you this. One of the favorite globe proofs is if you go to Dubai and watch the sunset and then quickly go in the elevator to the top of that tall building, you could watch the sunset again, which proves that the Earth is a globe. Okay, you've heard that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen again and show you a video I made about that exact thing. Can you guys see?
Yeah, religious zealot or outright liar or faceless moron.
Yeah. So I'm going to just jump through it a little bit. So here's I'm just talking about how it proves it. All right, so here's my sun. So the pillow represents the clouds, and there's my sun above the clouds, and we're on the ground because we're terrestrial observers of a celestial object. And as that celestial object moves away, it sets behind the clouds. Okay, you with me?
Yeah. Now that's basically on the the same type of machine that you had earlier, like the little buggy or whatever, the little remote control car at the same level, basically, is what I mean.
Yeah. It was basically on a little tower, and I just dragged it beyond. Now this cloud deck, if it was 20, 30 miles away, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the top of these clouds and the Earth because it would have just merged together due to perspective. That's a fact. You can check that out. Look at the clouds 20 miles away over the water, and they're touching the horizon. So then I lifted up the camera, go to the top of the building, and look at that. There's the sun again. And it's that simple. And that proves, according to these globe guys, that my living room floor is a sphere.
I like this one too. This is what you were talking about earlier, right? Or is this a real picture, or is this like an
this is a picture that's just distorted, and the guys use that as proof of curvature. I mean, if that was, the Earth would be 10 miles around if that was proof of curvature.
Exactly. Yeah. And then all the, our eyes are also curved lenses, just like you were showing in the airplane. They put the curved windows out. All the GoPro cameras, everything's curved. Research I like that. Research the flat Earth. So yeah, let me see if we got any questions in the chat here. Yeah, gravity and density we could talk about as well. All right, here we go. After the sun sets in the west, how does it rise again in the east? Well, that's what he was showing earlier on his map, and that's kind of what we're talking about as far as it, in my opinion, it's not really setting, right, Dave?
Yeah, it's not. It's just going into the distance, and because of the way the atmosphere works, because of the way our eyes work, the sun is going beyond the atmospheric deck of opacity, which is a real thing, and its light cannot get to us. At the beginning, when I showed you the picture of day next to night, that's how it works. The sun's light is too far to reach us, and we're in darkness. Okay, and then it just goes all the way around, and it comes back. The sun travels east to west.
And this one, Dave, maybe you want
travels west to east. West. Yeah, because we're supposedly spinning.
Yeah, supposedly. Maybe you want to pop your app up on this one, but it's just moved since I'm going to forget the name, so I apologize. But it says, how can it be light in America, or I might get them backwards. Light in America, but day, but nighttime in England. Yeah.
So you got my screen up?
Yep, you're good.
So right now, the sun is here. It's almost noon because wherever the sun is, it's noon. So it's noon over the West Coast, a little past noon. In reality, hold on, because we're in fake time right now. I got to turn the daylight savings back on.
Yeah, and it's 4 o'clock here on the East Coast, where me and Severe, and you're on the East Coast as well, right, Dave?
Yeah.
So we're 4 hours behind, so we're right there. Yeah.
So the sun is right here, so it's like noon, on the West Coast, close to noon.
Yeah.
And the light of the sun, so sunlight and daylight are two different things. The sky is daylight. The direct sun is sunlight. And the way you can prove this is when the sun rises in the morning, you could, let's say it rises on the east side of your house. It has to rise on the east side. And there it is on the horizon on the east side. If you go to the west side of your house, you can sit out there and read a newspaper. And I don't know why you would, but you can read it because of daylight, not because of sunlight. Okay. Sure. The sunlight the daylight is like the secondary light in a photography studio. If there was just sunlight and the sky didn't fluoresce light, then everything would look like the Blair Witch Project. Okay.
Yep.
So right now, and also the daylight has to do with the dome, and because of its position relative to the dome, it causes pretty much an equal division. But if I jump forward to December, you can see how that light wraps around. It wraps around the dome, causing these longer days out in the southern lands. Okay. But if we get night sooner here because the sun is just far away. I'll just turn on the time lapse so you can just see how it goes around. But the sun, is going to leave the West Coast. It's going, around 9 p.m. my time. It's starting to get dark here. So, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, it's now nighttime. There's a bit of twilight in there. Now, the app isn't exact, day and night. There's a buffer zone because there's too many different things that happen. Did you know that in the north, during the summer when the sun sets, how long is it still light out? Like an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Right? That is 2 hours of twilight. But in the south, at certain times of the year, when the sun sets, 5 minutes later, it's pitch black.
Crazy.
And that's because the sun is actually moving faster in the south.
Oh, yeah. And actually, while you have this up too, Dave, there was a question earlier that I forgot, and now I just remembered. They were saying, what are your feelings on, when people sometimes see a second sun? And I don't think that's just a camera artifact. My guess is perhaps it could be, if there is a dome on the side of us, it could be bouncing off. I don't know, to be honest with you.
So, again, anything beyond the limits of where we can go to Antarctica and beyond low Earth, beyond 70,000 feet where none of us are allowed to go, we don't know. But we can show that with a spotlight. I can share another video real quick. And a glass dome, you can recreate a sun inside of a dome with an external light. So perhaps the source of the sun is within or above the dome, and it's manifesting in our reality.
Yeah,
okay?
and it's the good thing to say is, we're not sure. So anybody that can sit here and tell you I have an answer for absolutely everything, those are the people you need to worry about, in my opinion.
Right, absolutely.
And actually, Dave, this is good too, because this is kind of right in line with what we're talking about here. This is DJ Nunya says, how does this explain, and this is funny, 6 months of darkness in Alaska, then 6 months of daylight? And I was just watching a video where they basically had adjusted the video to make it look like the footage in Antarctica was not, they manipulated it. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. So let me show you again. I gotta. The way I don't have to pull up the app. I'll just explain. So the way it works is when the sun is close. Actually, I am going to show you guys.
It's a lot easier with the pictures, for sure. It's
easier. Share screen. So when the sun is over the Tropic of Cancer, which is the inner yellow line. So that's the Tropic of Cancer. June 21st, the sun is there. So the way the sun sets is when it's a certain distance from you, it sets due to all of the things I was talking about. Its ability to throw light, its perspective with the atmospheric deck of opacity. So anything inside this very northern area, if you look at the sun, if you have to see my mouse, if the sun is here, it's daylight in Alaska. Okay. All the way here, it's still close enough to Alaska. Even all the way over here, from here to here, is not far enough for the sun to set. So it's 24 hours of sun in all of these northern places, Norway, Alaska, right around the summer solstice, which is when the sun is over its innermost track. All of those get 24 hours of sun. Then when the sun moves out here, it's actually so far away from these northern places that it never rises. Makes perfect sense. You with me?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think I said Antarctica. That was McMurdoch, Australia.
The problem arises
Alaska.
is 6 months later, whatever you have here should happen on the bottom of the ball at the same latitude. You should have that, they should have 24 hours of sun in the summer and darkness in the winter. Now, they do have darkness in the winter because this is Antarctica, which is the shoreline that surrounds the Earth, okay? This white rim is Antarctica. And what's beyond this rim, I don't know. This is just where it's cut off, okay? But this is Antarctica. So let's say you're in McMurdo, which is, let's say it's where the 2 is or where the 5 is. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If the sun is all the way in here, this is too far for light to get. So they never have sun. The sun's going around and it's never getting to the outer edge. It's never getting, and not until the sun comes out here will they start having a low sun in the sky, because from here to here will get the sun at least, visible above the apparent horizon. The problem is they should have a 24-hour sun when the sun is, equivalent to where it is on for the north here, but they don't. There's like 4 or 5 videos that are fake. Not because I'm saying they're fake. They're fake because they're obviously fake and they've been completely taken apart. You can go to Alaska, you can go to Norway. There's millions of videos there. You can watch the sun circle yourself. Okay. Yeah. You can watch the sun circle yourself and see the 24-hour sun. You can also watch the sun never rise. Did you know that in there's places in the north, in the inner north, where for 1 week of every month, the moon doesn't set for a week.
Jeez.
And that's the same reason, because the sun travels from the Tropic of Capricorn, the Cancer, out to the Tropic of Capricorn for 6 months, and then 6 months to get back. Okay. So it does that every year. The moon does that every month. So every time the moon is like right here, all the way out to there, and then back a little bit, which is about a week, it never sets because it's never too far away from these inner northern lands. It'll just circle around day and night. Harder to film because it's hard to film the sun during the day, but you can go and see it yourself if the weather holds up when you're there. That does not happen in the South.
Gotcha. And I know Tanette was asking, and maybe I'll modify her question, because in an airplane, you can fly around. I think you can fly around the world anyway, because you'd be in the air. But she said, ask him how to explain people can fly around the world. But I'll kind of tailor that to, how could they circumnavigate the world in a boat? And I don't know if you heard the story that I said about Captain Cook, but I think it was accurate, and I would love you to correct me if it's wrong, but that he supposedly went to circumnavigate Antarctica, but it ended up taking him like 3.5 years, like 56,000 miles.
He went like 60,000 miles.
Yeah, so he kept his one side to the shoreline or whatever, right, and just kind of tried to navigate what he thought was Antarctica. Yeah. And for the size that they tell us Antarctica is today, that would be an impossibility, right?
All right, so let me, again, the reason I keep pulling up the app isn't because I'm pushing the app. It's because it's the greatest teaching tool there is.
Perfect.
It's convenient. So here I am in California, okay? And I'm going to use this yellow line. So I'm in Mexico, and I want to circumnavigate the world. Well, if I get my compass, and I'm going to turn on my compass, north is the center, okay? For me to go west, this direction that my mouse is going is not west. That's south. Guess what? This direction eventually turns south. Any straight line becomes south because any straight line will hit Antarctica. South is this direction away from north. South is this direction. South is this direction. South is every direction away from north. So if I put a compass right here, okay, this east-west is the compass, and this line, let's say that's the north line, and it's pointing towards the north, just like a compass works. You with me? You with me?
Yep.
Okay, so as I move, if I keep going straight, that line is no longer pointing towards the north. It has to point to the north. So 270 degrees, I stare at my compass. This is 270 degrees. I stay dead reckoning 270 degrees. I don't even realize I'm turning because this is a giant circle. As a matter of fact, if you had a racetrack that was 30 miles around, so a perfect circle 30 miles around, and you were driving in it, you'd barely notice that you were turning.
Yeah.
You would barely notice. Okay. But the dead reckoning 270 is this way. Dead reckoning 90, which is east, is this way. Okay. And you come right back to where you started from. That makes perfect sense. There's many stories of ships' captains in the Indian Ocean where they're trying to dead reckon at 90 degrees, but their ship keeps veering off a little bit and they have to constantly correct. Or whether they're heading west, they're trying to dead reckon at 270 and they have to keep correcting to the north. But if the Earth was a ball, they'd have to correct to the south, but they don't. If you were 1 mile from the North Pole, here comes your high school math. 1 mile from the North Pole, right? And you're pointing it to the North Pole. That your right arm is pointing to the North Pole. That's the North Needle. You want to walk west, which is straight 90 degrees to that, but you have to keep pointing to the North Pole. You got to make a tight circle to head 270 degrees. And 3.14 miles later, you're back to where you started from, and you never changed your heading.
That's crazy.
So you went exactly west or exactly east, and which is a circle equidistant from the North Pole. 3.14 miles later, you're back. Same thing at the equator, but it's 24,000 miles. And same thing when you get out all the way to the edge of Antarctica, and it should be 24,000 miles, right? Is that the width of the ball? 24,901 miles?
I think, yeah.
And so you would think that going around the Arctic would be maybe 13,000 miles, I think is what they say Antarctica is. So he was thinking that this would be 13,000 miles, and it's more than the equator. That makes no sense on a ball. Okay? If you try to circumnavigate around this, you're not going to make it in 13,000 miles. You're not going to make it in 24,901 miles. It's twice that, 3 times that, because the Earth is flat.
Yeah. And, I saw a couple of questions earlier that because Q was actually asked, is the world flat? And for those of you who believe that John F. Kennedy Jr. is still alive, he also said John F. Kennedy Jr. is not alive. And with the apparent pushback that we see here in the comment section for people who supposedly have an open mind, there sure is a lot of pushback. So I'll pose that question to you in the chat. If, let's just 100% say the Earth is flat, that's the model it is. If Q was asked back then, this is about a year and a half ago, if the Earth was flat, and he said yes, how many people do you think would still be watching Q right now and watching what's going on over there? So I would keep that in mind. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I would be too. And I just think it's funny that people are so I can't believe you're doing this, and you're going to be so divisive. Well, the only people that are being divisive are the people with the negative comments that don't have an open mind, in my opinion.
So listen to this. I was probably worse than anyone in your chat with just slamming flat Earth. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. Wouldn't do it.
Yep.
Banning people, and then I was forced to look, as I told you. And then I was like, oh my God, there's something wrong with their whole model. But guess what? I kept it in my pocket for 6 more months. I did my podcast and I wouldn't talk about flat Earth. I was gatekeeping flat Earth because I didn't want to discredit all of the other work I did on the New York event, the Connecticut event, the Boston event. I figured it would discredit me, right? And I kept it in my pocket. And then one day I just realized this is the truth. It's got to come out. And back then, the ridicule you got was unbelievable. At least now, people have the resources. There's enough of us out there. People have been exposed to it enough where maybe they're willing to take the time. The problem is we live in the world of the Twitter mentality, 240 characters or whatever it is, and then they tune out. And learning the flat Earth, we've been doing this for 2 hours. Well, guess what? You got 2,000 more hours to go before you're going to know as much as I know, okay?
Crazy.
All right, if you're lucky, all right? But the ball is easy. Earth is a ball. Boats go over the horizon. Okay. Aristophanes did sticks and shadows. Okay. And you're done. That's it. Go smoke a joint. Go take a nap. You've memorized it. You believe it. You're done. Belief is the enemy of knowing.
Exactly. And I had another great question. It had to do with the vacuum of space. It says, can you talk about how, us on this planet can live next to space, which is supposedly a vacuum that would rip us, not rip us into many pieces, right? But there's supposedly, right? Severe, like there's supposedly there's supposedly no hard barrier out there, right? But yet we're supposed to have this vacuum.
They'll say it's a gradual gradient, and that completely disproves itself on its face. It goes against everything that they tell us what a vacuum is, the power of it. And for there to not be some physical barrier, that it just doesn't wash.
Yeah. The idea, it breaks the second law of thermodynamics. I think it's the second law. You can't have high pressure next to low pressure without a barrier. And the ballers will say, well, gravity is holding the air down. Well, you could simply disprove that with a straw. Put a straw in your mouth, create a weak vacuum, the weakest possible vacuum you can with your lungs, and you can suck air and water up and away from gravity effortlessly, okay? If you had a cylinder, a box that had no air in it, it was a vacuum and it had a valve on the bottom, and you opened it up at sea level or at 10,000 feet, what's it going to do? It's going to suck the air up and away, right?
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
easily. So supposedly there's a vacuum of space, which makes no sense. And our air doesn't just fly out into space. The helio-nonsensical model is so embarrassing. Once you see it, you wonder how you ever believed it before.
Yeah, and I'm trying to pull up right now a video just to show the people, like, we know that they fake certain things in the things that we discuss all the time. And I think this was on the app as well. It's called Antarctica, the only closed continent.
Yeah, so there's a video by Taboo Conspiracy called "Sorry, Antarctica is Closed," and it's basically a 35-minute video where he spent, I don't know how long, he did so much work on this, and just to show you how physically and politically impossible it is to explore Antarctica. Even if they let you, how are you going to do it? There's nothing there. It's cold. It's dark. GPS doesn't work. Compasses don't work. There's no food. There's no fuel. There's nothing. The Antarctic Treaty says once you get to 60 degrees south, you're not allowed to have any fuel on your boat.
Now, why would that be? They don't want you going any further?
They don't want you going any further. I mean, I believe that's why they had the Hindenburg disaster to stop airships, because giant airships don't need fuel and they can go explore maybe where they're not supposed to. So, there's a lot of deception out there.
I would also encourage people to look into, Operation Dominic, Fishbowl, Paperclip, how all these things tie in together. Like, you don't have to listen to what we're saying to you. We're just telling you to keep an open mind.
Yes, you do. You have to listen to what we're saying.
There's plenty of research out there to be done to verify a lot of the stuff that we're touching on. And I understand, people just, from the jump, hear something that breaks everything that they think that they might know about something. And it's hard to come to terms with something that is that huge of a deception. But ultimately, you have to ask yourself, why not? When have they ever been honest with us? Have they ever told us the truth about anything? Right. And this deception, the biggest one of them all, would explain a lot of why they do the things that they do.
Yeah. Remember in school when they taught us about the jet streams, how they went up and down, and it's just like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, so this picture right here, that's awesome. The jet streams that they taught us. You map that out on a flat Earth map, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, take a look at that, naysayers.
That's a perfect. I was going to ask you to pull that one up, and that one explains a lot.
I got it even better than that.
You got it on the app with
moving,
right?
Yeah. Of course, yeah. I got to pull up the app again.
So guys, look at what they tell us, the up and down Gulf Stream that we're seeing, or the jet stream that we see, right? And that's another thing we could talk about, how we're spinning so fast. Why do flights not take, why aren't they 5 times as fast going one way than the other as well? But this is perfect. This is perfect.
I have this is real time air currents. So these white and pink and red, these are 200 to 300 mile an hour winds at about 40,000 feet that are cruising around. And then we have these winds, which are pretty significant, going the opposite direction in the inner, inner lands here. So going from Santiago, Chile to Australia, if you went out into this stream, you had a plane that maybe can fly a little faster than the planes that we know of, and the plane that does the nonstop has like 7 layers of paint on it, like special paint. There's only a couple military guys that fly it. Believing that since the 1960s planes haven't gotten any faster is ridiculous. So even if the plane only went like 650 miles an hour, put a 200 to 300 mile an hour tailwind behind it, the flights make perfect sense. And the funny thing is, these flights, some are canceled often, and sometimes they vary 5 hours in their expected times. It's because these winds aren't always that consistent. They change.
Hey Dave, while you have that up too, somebody was talking about, we were talking about a certain professor before. We don't have to, advertise for him at all, but talking about flights. And I found one of his answers on one of them pretty ridiculous. He was talking about, taking a flight from, I forgot where he was talking about, like South America to wherever he was, but they had to stop up in the UAE. Well, of course they did, because that was the airline. It's like, wait, airlines don't just stop over in their own home place because that's their home place. They do the most direct route, or they should be, if they don't want to be wasting fuel and whatnot, right?
Right, absolutely. In the frequently asked questions, there's what about Southern flights? Oh, what about Southern flights right here? Yep. What about Southern flights? There's a whole bunch of videos in there that will show you how it's done, the airline routes, emergency flights, emergency landings prove flat Earth, because there's all these crazy landings that make no sense on the ball, but they make perfect sense on a flat Earth.
Yeah, Taiwan to LA, but they had an emergency landing and they stopped off in Alaska for the,
it's like, and when you see these flights, you really understand how crazy it is. Like here is one of the flight paths from Australia to South America, right? It literally goes, they're both at the same latitude. Why don't they just fly underneath the ball or stay at that same latitude and fly across? Now the ballers will go, well, because it's too dangerous. The ocean is too dangerous. So there's no place to rescue. Well, guess what? Easter Island's out there supposedly, and other places, baloney. They're going to fly all the way up here, all the way across, and all the way down. You take that, you put that exact flight on a flat Earth map. Look at that. Straight line.
Perfect. Yeah.
You could do that all day. It works with so many different flight paths.
Right. Here's the thing. Have you guys ever been in an earthquake, a minor earthquake, a big earthquake?
Thankfully not for me.
Okay.
No, me neither.
I was only in one in Florida years ago, and it was literally a tiny earthquake, but it scared the crap out of me. The earth moving under my feet, the tiny bit that it did, made me I felt unstable. I got nauseous. It was crazy. But we're to believe that we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, which is faster than sound. Or orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour. By the way, that's a speed that you can't even fathom. Okay, You can't. You think you know what it is, but you don't. And we're chasing the sun at over 500,000 miles an hour, and that entire system is moving sideways at 1.2 million miles per hour. Mm-hmm. Okay, right? And all of that, and we all of that, we don't feel a thing. Where's my video? All right. All of that, and we get this.
Crystal clear, nice calm.
This. Perfect calm glass.
Oh, Dave, okay? It's so big. That's why, because the Earth is just so big. Come on.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, the high priest of scientism, says that there is a bulge of water at the equator due to the spin of the Earth. It makes the Earth 27 miles, 28 miles wider at the equator, which is 14 miles on each side. Okay, so there's a 14-mile hump of water at the equator due to the spin, according to the lords of scientism. Okay. Where's the best viewing spot for that? Right? Where do you get to view that? Because it's taller than Everest, right? And airplanes only fly at 5 miles high. So when an airplane's flying from the north to the south, when do they climb that extra 10,000 feet? 10,000? What did I say?
Yeah,
14 miles high. Where do they climb that extra 10 miles?
Jeez, yeah.
Okay, 10 miles, not 10,000 feet, because they're only flying at 5 miles. So when do they climb up over that and fly down it? Never happens. The other thing is, if you're on the equator on the spinning globe, it's spinning at over 1,000 miles per hour. People are like, yeah, but it's only once per day. You're still moving 1,000 miles per hour. Okay. You ever see anything go 1,000 miles per hour? I haven't. Maybe a bullet. Okay. And if you're in northern Alaska, you're still only going around once a day. But guess what? You're only going like 300 miles an hour because you have a much smaller circle to make at the top of that ball. Right. The equator has to go all the way around like this. In Alaska, you only have to make this little circle. Okay. So you're sitting on a runway in Alaska. You're not moving yet, but let's say you say, okay, I'm spinning at 300 miles an hour. You take off. The plane goes 500 miles an hour. Feel free to add that 500 to the 300 of motion that you had before you ever moved. That's 800 miles an hour, which doesn't work that way, but I'm leaning in favor of the ball. You fly to Ecuador, and you try to land on a north-south runway that's going sideways at 1,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, good luck.
Come on. Try to jump on a treadmill that's going 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, true, right? Let me just show this real quick, Dave. I'm not going to share the screen just because it's going to be a lot quicker, and I'm not going to show a lot of it. But you know the video, you were just talking about it, that it's the guy, Antarctica, the only closed continent. And I'm not going to play the whole video. I'm just basically going to show a couple snippets because, you know, people like to see, you know, proof in their face, and so we'll show them. So this guy put a video out here. Now, what was the aim of this video? It was to prove that there wasn't a 24-hour sun in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Okay, so he did this.
Wait. What did you say? What is the reason for the video?
Yeah, it says Antarctica, the only closed continent. This is the video where this guy actually is breaking down how this guy faked this video. But I'm just wondering what the original guy that made the video, he was trying to disprove the ball, obviously, right? So with that in mind, guys, just keep this in mind. He set up this camera to watch and follow the sun or whatever, but this is the only thing I'm going to show you is look at this mountain behind him.
I don't see anything.
Oh yeah, I was just, all right, let me see. I'll share just so you guys can see as well here. I just want to make sure everybody can see. I'm so non-tech, Dave. Believe me, so non-tech. All right, so you should be able to see everything now.
and notice, by the way, see there's no snow on this mountain?
Yeah, and then he's going to, okay, you know what? Let's get the video started along. We're going to follow, you know, we'll just play it without sound. All right, guys, video starts. Here we go. The sun remains around the horizon for months at McMurdo. And let's start the video. Okay. Oh, wait. What the hell? Snow. What the hell happened there? All right. So my question to the people in the chat section is, why are they faking this? Why would a scientist go out and film all this? Because he obviously had to spend a lot of time doing this to just do this. Like, they don't think people... Look at that. Look at all the snow on that mountain. And look at, that's the same mountain. There's no snow. So my question to you, who are so much smarter than us because we believe something different or want to entertain something different, how do you explain that one? I'd really love to hear that. Like, why do they bother doing that?
If you watch the end of the video, the clouds are exactly the same as the beginning of the video.
Yeah, exactly. So they looped it. And then you have later in that video is Admiral Byrd talking about how there's a land beyond the poles that's bigger than the United States of untapped resources and whatnot, right? And I know some people sometimes mix his diary, which I don't know that that's ever been verified. Is that fake or what, Dave? In your opinion?
You know, the whole Admiral Byrd thing, it's interesting. Was he part of the club? Maybe. Did he speak out of turn, and then they realized we have to keep this quiet? You know, I think the takeover happened in like 1957, where they realized, hey, let's not tell the people what's going on. Let's keep this to ourselves and take over the world. And maybe that's when it happened, and they shut him up. Or maybe that's part of the not breaking free will. They had to tell us. So. Either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really change much, but I don't know because I don't have enough information to make a determination whether he's for real or not.
Yeah, exactly. And we keep getting the same thing as people are saying, oh, it's a psyop and it's a thing by the CIA and it's by the clowns to make everybody try to think about flat Earth. And I'll just touch on the Q thing earlier. Like people say, oh, well, Q is just to basically so they can know what patriots to round up later on. And I put a video on my Twitter yesterday that back in 2009 or 2010 under Obama during that Hammer program, they already had files on 22 million Americans. And if you don't think those are the patriots that would have stood up, those people that are watching this chat now, then you got to get your head twisted on straight. So for the people that say like, oh, it's just a psyop to get these people, and know who would have stood up and who wouldn't have. It's like telling a bank, hey, by the way, I'm going to rob your bank. How's noon on Friday sound? Like it makes no sense. So what, Dave, can you think of any reason like why they would do that? Like, why would it be a psyop to what? Just keep us focused on something else? Like, I don't understand their rationale behind it.
What? I don't understand the question.
The basic thing I see, and I see it in the chats a lot, is it's a psyop. The flat Earth is a psyop by the CIA, and it's like,
you know what?
Why?
That's such a. And by the way, I said the same thing because it had to be because it's so stupid, and because it had to be. But the thing is, you can't just say it's a psyop. What is the purpose? And then when you realize, and that's the reason people say that is because they don't see the purpose of such a massive deception. Like, why would they bother? Why would people say, why would they fake the moon landing? It's all to keep us under control. If you had a safari park and you had a lion, no, if you had a lion and kept it in your yard, he wouldn't be very happy. He gets to the fence, he'd be pissed off. But you put him in a safari park 50 miles around. He's good. And he gets to the fence, he goes, and he turns around and he goes the other way and he lives his life. But you put a human in that safari park, he sees that fence, doesn't matter how big the park is, he goes, what's on the other side?
Exactly.
They don't want us to know that there's a fence. They don't want us to know that maybe there's other continents out there.
Truman Show?
Yeah, well, the True Man Show.
Yeah, and there was another guy who was, and I don't know what your feelings on him, he was... because like I said, I lost kind of base with what's watching the flat Earth videos for a while. There was a guy out of NASA, or supposedly he was an artist out of NASA, but one of his theories was that there's a big bunch of flat ice, and there may be other civilizations that are beyond our pole that have their own suns and whatnot, and that could whatever for the
So this is a map that's supposedly found, an old Japanese map. Those could be other continents outside of Antarctica. Antarctica is that ring that's around the inner lands there.
Yes.
There could be other suns out there. There could be other puddles out there. But again, anything past the shoreline of Antarctica is speculation. All of this makes far more sense than the helio-nonsensical, bull crap. Right? Extraterrestrials, extra territory, extra terra. That's where the word extraterrestrial comes from. They're people that probably speak English that are a day flight away in a conventional aircraft rather than trillions of miles away, in an infinite vacuum. And then they come here and they crash. They could be just from beyond Antarctica.
Yeah, and we've heard those things too, Dave. Like, I don't know if you ever heard, and I don't know if people in the chat, you can look them up later. But we see from time to time, and it could be underground drilling for all I know, but these weird earth sounds, they call them, like these big horns, like these big creaks that sound just ominous and crazy. So, I mean, I'm just saying, if that was a model or whatever, that's a possibility. It could be, our neighbors or whatever. So, I mean, that's, who knows? And like you said, beyond the poles, we don't know. And while you have that picture up, and while the question is somewhat remembering in my head here, somebody said something to the effect of, why would all these countries, and they were saying it kind of against the flat Earth, but why, would all these people push the flat Earth, or why would they do that? But then I would go back to the Antarctic Agreement, where all these countries that were at war with each other like signed on and said, yeah, you know what, let's all not go down there. Let's all agree on this one thing. Even though we're killing each other out here, let's all agree that we can't go out in Antarctica and nobody else can either.
And so here's the other thing. People are like, well, why wouldn't Russia rat us out? Why wouldn't we rat Russia out? If you can't fake it because they have a space agency and we have a space agency. All wars are bankers' wars. They're concocted wars. The Cold War, how many people died during the Cold War due to battles? 0. How many battles were there? 0. By the way, I just made the 666 sign, so I guess I'm a shill.
He's a Satanist. Watch out, guys.
Because that's going to come out. Because I do that sometimes, right?
Trump does it too. Everybody uses their hand signals.
Yeah. So why why you have to assume that they're telling us the truth, that we're in a war against Russia. It's all nonsense. You know that here's my theory, and it's a pretty damn good one. Kim Jong-un, he's a mental patient from an institution who can't talk. Okay, maybe he could talk a little bit. They just take him out for photo shoots. Half the time where you see him with all of the missiles and the pictures of him with the missiles and the soldiers, you look at it, the soldiers are stepped and repeated. They're the same soldiers again and again and again.
And some of the video of some of the weapons are fake too.
They're balloons.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they're friggin' Macy's Day balloons. I don't know this. You guys might short circuit, but the entire space program is nonsense. They fake it in all different ways, but the space shuttle and many of the big rocket launches are blimps. They're lighter than air vehicles that take off really slow. They're rocket assisted blimps. They curve over, they go out to land, and then they blow them up and they crash into the water.
Yeah.
Okay?
How heavy are those things supposed to be too? I mean, the fact that it's crazy.
So look at this. The space shuttle is I think it's 4 million pounds, 4 million pounds empty or whatever. Let's just say it's 4 million pounds. That's the lightest it could be. So for it to have thrust to lift 4 million pounds, that thrust has to be 4 million pounds of thrust. You ever been in a hurricane?
Hurricane.
150 mile an hour wind will rip most houses apart. Okay. A tornado is like 270, 300 mile an hour winds. That will bend metal and rip cement out of the ground. Okay. Yeah. The thrust coming out of the space shuttle is 1 million times more than that. And it's superheated. And the little rickety fence that they have next to it doesn't even wobble or melt or pulverize, which it should. I mean, all of it is such a big deception. Well, why the big deception? It's to keep us as slaves. It's if we knew that they have no control over us, they have zero power over us. The only thing they have over us is getting us to be afraid, getting us to live in fear. And they do that with the news and the asteroids coming in and the crazy terrorists. All of it is fake. All of it.
Yeah, and I love this one, David. I know you're going to like it because we were talking about, remember what I said before the show, where did this guy go? Crispy says, what physicist actually believes in flat Earth? None that I know. They laugh out of the room and disprove by hundreds of years of mathematical proof. I'm done with it. Have fun talking mess, everyone. And that's funny because we do have an example, and you want to let everybody know, you don't have to say his name, but you can say what happened to him once he started coming out and talking about flat Earth.
Yeah, so we had what was his career? He was a
physicist, I believe. He was
not a physicist. Are you talking about Brian?
Yeah.
He was an engineer. He was a big time engineer, and he literally tore apart, the ridiculousness of the heliocentric model. But then some troll called his place of employment, and they threatened him. Basically, he was just getting married, just having a kid, and he was in fear of losing his career, his job, and he became quiet. But he's still a full-on flat earther. He just doesn't want to take the heat.
Yeah, because of his career, and similar to this guy's. How many people in our movement have you heard that they lost their job because they support President Trump or something along those lines? We've heard this so many times. So people, why wouldn't anybody say anything? Well, if you want your grants to keep coming through, if you want your job to continue, you'll shut your mouth and you'll work in line. You'll step in line.
Right. If you're in any of these fields that are deceptions, if you speak out, you're done. Your grants are gone. Your job is gone. You're homeless, and everyone is petrified about that. People at NASA, not everybody knows that NASA's fake. They, think about this. You're going to the moon. Hey, we're going to the moon. 8 years later, we're at the moon. Crazy, the 1960s technology. But NASA can't build all the parts themselves, so they got to sub it out. Hey, we need a door, we need a hinge, we need a cushion, we need a meter, we need a needle. And you would think that they would sub out to 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 different companies to get all of these parts made, but they did it to 100,000 companies. I think the number is literally 100,000 companies where everybody made a different piece, a different part. This way, everyone could say, my grandfather worked on the Saturn V. You know, how dare you say the moon landing's fake? Well, guess what? They did make a part. They did send it there. And then they watched a cartoon of a thing going into space. And they're like, yeah, my hinge is on that, cartoon.
Yeah. Compartmentalized.
Yeah, I mean, satellites are real. They just don't fall around the Earth like this. This thing, this ball, you got to remember, is moving sideways at 66,000 miles an hour, forward at 0.5 miles an hour, and then in another direction at 1.2 million miles an hour. And all of those satellites are falling around the Earth, staying in perfect orbits or geostationary. Geostationary satellite is falling at the same rate that the Earth is moving, but the Earth is turning and curving in 3 different directions
magically
and moving at 4 different speeds, but that satellite can stay right here.
No problem, right where you need it. And Dave, real quick.
Right above, that's baloney. You know, and people say, well, how do satellite dishes work? Well, guess what? I think that they're bouncing signals off of the firmament, off of the dome, and the satellite dishes
radio.
are picking them up. It makes perfect sense.
Kind of like ham radio does too. And just a quick question, Dave. Those satellites behind you, those would be not as far out as the moon, right? All these satellites.
Correct.
And how many, do you know like the last ballpark count of how many they're supposed to be?
You know, there was 30,000 at one point, and then they said it was 10,000. They're lying. They can't even keep their lies straight. But let's say it's 10,000.
Okay, so let's say it's 10,000, and they're closer than the moon. I've literally watched what they say are telescopes fixed on the moon for hours at a time. I've yet to see anything obscure that screen. Anything.
Yeah, have you seen a balloon cross it? We've seen balloons cross the moon.
Have you? I haven't. No, I'd love to see that for sure. But
yeah,
like,
we saw a balloon cross the moon.
That's crazy.
Here's another thing for you to try. So the moon will be full in about a week and a half. So when the moon is close to full, it's a bright moon, and there's spotted clouds in the sky. Go to a place where it's dark, where you don't have city lights lighting up the sky, and look at the moon. You'll see that just the clouds right near the moon are lit up and all the other ones are dark. If the moon was 238,000 miles away, it would light up all of the clouds.
Oh, yeah. And what about the eclipses when we see the line of the sun or the shape is only 70 miles around or something like that? The eclipse line?
Yeah, I mean, you have an infinite light, which is the sun. The moon should be the same. The shadow should be the same size on the Earth, and the shadow's only 70 miles. I don't believe that the moon is 70 miles in size, but
we don't know. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, we don't know because the sun's not 93 million miles away. I've done this. This is a little mind exercise. Okay, first, you ever see a ball with a single source light up like this, light up like this evenly? There should be a hot spot, and then it should fade out, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So this is indicating that this ball, whatever it is, looks like a ball to me, is its own light. It's generating its own light. So look at this picture of the astronauts on the moon. The astronauts on the moon. Does that light look like this light?
Yeah, it looks like it's the camera light, if anything, or the stage lights.
well, no. I mean,
but it's not going.
This is a real picture of the moon. Okay, so this is supposedly sunlight reflecting off the moon. Okay, and if you know what the inverse square law of light is, every time you half the distance of something, the light is 4 times brighter, or vice versa. If you double the distance, it's 1/4 the brightness. Okay. For the moon to be this bright where you can read by it, where it casts a shadow on the ground, it would be brighter than the sun standing on it. But these guys are standing on a dusty, dirty ball. This thing you wouldn't be able to see this thing at 50 miles away. It's so dull.
Yeah, so many things make no sense. And,
right.
When you have to explain things away, to me, that's a big red flag. Severe, you got any pertinent questions you got for him? I'm going to look through the chat as well. Guys, all right, people in the chat, it's redundant. You guys are stupid. Like, really? Just stupid. Just waste your time.
Show me. I have $1,000 for anyone that has one proof of the globe. Just one. $1,000.
Ooh.
So check this out. This is from 120,000 feet. The sun's right there. Look, that looks 93 million miles away, if you ask me. There's a reflection on the ground. It makes absolutely no sense. But think about this. So this is the sun, okay? Right?
That's a workout ball, Dave.
This yoga ball, right? And the Earth is this, right?
Yeah.
You can't even see that.
Tiny, yeah.
Okay, the Earth is this big next to that. So if the sun was right above the Earth, you know, when you're standing on the Earth and the sun was a mile above your head, the sun would fill the entire sky. Agreed?
Absolutely.
Okay. You move that sun 93 million miles away, it now becomes the size of my thumbnail held at arm's length. It went from the entire sky to my thumbnail. So it shrank from the entire sky, pay attention, to the size of my thumbnail at arm's length. If I doubled the distance, could you see it?
Exactly. And sunlight
hold on a
separates,
second.
right?
If I 8 times the distance, could you see it?
8 times the distance. Could I see what?
Could you see the sun if it was 8 times farther? Remember, it went from the entire sky to the size of my thumbnail. Now I'm going to make it 8 times farther. Do you think you could see my thumbnail anymore?
You probably wouldn't be able to, no.
Absolutely not. Not. Any thinking mind would say that. We're told that some of the stars that we see with our naked eye in the sky are similar to our sun. The closest star is 4 light years away. Okay. 8. So that sun example I said, when I 8 times the distance, and we all agree we couldn't see it.
Yeah.
That's a light hour.
That's nuts, yeah. And then multiply
That's a
by
light
how much?
hour. And the closest star is 4 light years. 25 trillion miles. Trillion. Okay. One more thing. I know I'm talking a lot.
No, it's fine.
How much is a trillion? Is it a lot?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. How long is a trillion seconds?
I have no
Take a
idea.
guess.
I'm so bad. My son would probably
Take a
be able
guess.
to tell you.
Take a guess. If
10.
you do the math, you'll figure it out. But how long is a trillion seconds?
A trillion
seconds.
seconds? 1,000 years? I don't know. I have no idea.
31,000 years. Okay. 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. And we're seeing, I know I'm converting time into distance, but 25 trillion miles away, we're seeing a friggin' burning ball of hydrogen that just burns forever and doesn't explode. Come on, people.
Yeah, makes no sense. Severe? You got anything?
Yeah, no, I'm just checking the temperature of the chat, and there's a lot of people that get it. You know what I mean? They really do. They see it for what it is. It's just a huge deception. And the points that Dave was just making, I've never looked at it from that angle, numbers wise, but I mean, yeah, exactly. That kind of says it all in itself.
Right.
And going back to, they try to explain the shadow, being the size that it is during an eclipse due to like an umbra, but it's something that can't even be, recreated. It's just, I don't know. It's amazing what people are willing to just blindly accept without really doing the research behind what they think to be true.
Here's another one. People say, what about the ISS? That proves that the Earth is a ball. Well, again, have you guys ever watched, you have an ISS tracker on your phone and you ever watch it cross over?
I personally have not, but I know everybody says, well, you can see the International Space Station go over your head and you can see a light.
And I did it, and I saw it, and it was amazing, okay? And I saw it show up within seconds when it was supposed to, and I watched it go across the sky in about 2 minutes' time and go from horizon to horizon. The thing's traveling at 5 miles a second, okay, supposedly. But what I noticed was it was a bright piece. It looked like a little piece of the sun. It was the brighter than any star or planet in the sky, and it was moving, and it stayed equally lit the entire way. So it's supposedly reflecting sunlight. I don't know how you reflect sunlight into my eye as it moves across the entire sky, but other people around me in different areas can see it also. That doesn't make sense. You can't reflect the sun in every direction unless the thing is a disco ball. And I don't even think that would work. It would be flickering. So again, the ISS is close to the size of a 747, which is close to the size of a football field. You take a 747, move it up to cruising altitude. Again, it's the size of a pencil eraser held at arm's length, and it's kind of grayed out in the sky, okay? Mm-hmm. If you doubled the height of a 747, could you see it? Answer, obviously, no. Okay? The space station is 50 times higher.
So any guesses as to what that light is?
Yeah, I have a guess. I guess that it's a returning luminary.
Now, when you say luminary, what do you mean by that? You mean like a physical, like
So
a
we have, the planets, which is planet is a made up name.
plane with a T?
They used to be called wandering stars,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they're all named after gods. And I'm not a Bible guy, but there's stories about the returning of the gods, and the stars falling to Earth. And that makes no sense. And in the Helios, I wouldn't even consider the Bible as any source of information, because how does a star fall to Earth? It's gigantic. It would eat the Earth, But all of this stuff is within the Earth system. The light that we see on this course is taking the same path as a planet does, but it's just faster. So what is it? I don't know. Then again, people say, well, what happens? We photographed it. Well, you can only photograph it when it's transiting the sun or the moon. And they tell you where you can be, where you can catch this, and it happens literally in a split second. And we've done it ourselves. Jaron did it, and he caught it. And you see the H-shaped thing, which to me doesn't really look like the space station, but it's interesting. I think that's just a Polar trick with a drone or whatever, and they calculate, hey, we're going to be flying this thing across here. You won't ever see it approaching the moon or exiting, or approaching the sun or exiting. You only see it transit. And it's just a Polar trick that they're doing to make, again, why all of this effort to make people believe in the globe. And it's about control.
I think
if everyone woke up tomorrow and knew that the Earth was flat, they would know that the Earth was created. They would know that we are the center of creation. They would know that they would learn over time that we are powerful beings. They would know that we have God-given free will, and they would stop giving their power away to these elite. We are the many, they are the few. They have zero power over us other than our own fear.
Yep. If we knew that there was a border, if they said, hey, there's absolute proof that we would all be running for that border and trying to find out what's on the other side of it. And, a lot of people say, what's on the other side? That's a perfectly awesome answer, guys. As I always say, you always hear me say it. If somebody has an answer for absolutely everything, I would be very concerned about the information that person's giving. But just like we can't have any real pictures of Earth from space, we don't have any pictures of a flat Earth from space either. So That's, you can't entertain things like that, and you're not going to have an answer for everything.
Why don't they put a camera on the moon, the same size faces Earth all the time? Put a camera there, show the Earth, live stream it, and put company logos on it. It would pay for the whole thing. It would be the most viewed live stream ever. We get to see hurricanes. We can see the eclipse when it happens from the moon. Never did it.
Exactly.
Think of watching an eclipse from the moon. And people say, well, how do you explain eclipses? Eclipses make no sense on the globe Earth, right? Bill Nye has trained us all. Well, because the Earth is a sphere, it always makes that perfect curve going over the Earth when we have going over the moon, because the Earth is a sphere. No matter where it comes from, it makes that curve. Well, there's been over 50 documented Selenian eclipses, and that's where the viewer on top of the ball, I am on top of the ball, sees the sun and the moon over there above the horizon, and the eclipse starts. Okay?
It shouldn't be.
That eliminates the ball. Okay. It's I'm not even sure it's a shadow. It could be a dimming of the moon, right? And also when there's a solar eclipse, never from any position on Earth in any weather condition with any infrared lenses or from the space station or from anything, has anyone ever filmed the moon approaching the sun before it eclipses it or exiting the sun. We just see this curve come out of it. And what is that from? What is that from? Have you guys ever seen my my eclipse idea? So I watched the eclipse from the last eclipse we had, solar eclipse, and I actually sat without glasses and stared at it almost the entire time, just so you know. And I'm not recommending that people do that, but my eyesight got better after that. So there's a reason they don't want us looking at the eclipse, because it's something far more than a rock passing in front of a fireball. The weird orbs, right? And I've actually compared those to what people call the moons around Jupiter. They look very, very similar. Can you guys see this?
Yep, it looks like some sort of eclipse.
So this is a solar eclipse that I saw. The sky was a little hazy, which made it really easy to see. This is a real picture of the eclipse. I took it myself, right? So this is me recreating an eclipse.
Cool.
Okay, so my idea was that the sun and the moon that we see are projected from above or outside of the dome, right? So you don't see the moon approaching, and when it's done, once it leaves, you don't see it exit. Okay, and that kind of looks just like what we just saw.
Yeah, and you're seeing
the way I did it,
the severe curve.
That.
Oh, damn.
So there's the moon, the new moon, not lit up, and the sun outside of the dome projecting itself into our reality. Is that what's going on? I don't know. I just made it kind of look like that, and it worked.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, dude, kudos for even, attempting these. These are very, very cool experiments you got going on here, for sure.
Yeah, and check this out. So there's this other one where a couple people during the last eclipse filmed this weird little light next to the eclipse, and people say, "Oh, that's a lens flare," but it's not a lens flare because it was locked. It was locked to the sun. So you see it. This is not a lens flare. That is a lens flare. And you see the one that's right next to the moon. It's not moving as the camera wobbles, and it looks like it's eclipsed.
Yes.
Like what is that? And my theory is that is the projector of the sun that is outside of the firmament, and because of the lighting conditions with most of the sun blocked out, we can see it. Now that bright sun, it looks circular, but it's just the lens. It's so bright, it's blowing the lens out, and you can't see that is the same eclipse as we see in this little piece. This sun is as much eclipsed as this thing right here, but it's just so bright it blew out the lens. So I redid my experiment with a slightly more transparent sky. So this is the original one I did, and that's what we see. But then I did it with a thinner paper, and if you look, there's that same thing. There's the source of this.
Yeah,
and it's being eclipsed. So this is what we see. It's the same thing. This is the real eclipse on the right, and this is my model eclipse on the left.
Wow.
And so we're seeing the source of the light that's being sent into our reality. How about that?
Dude, you just blew my mind on that one. And that's always something, because I've always been one to look up in the sky. I've always kept my head up and just wondered what is our reality? Where are we? Some people think it's a holographic reality, which who knows, it may be. But I mean, I think at least in the last couple of hours, nobody's pushing anything down anybody's throat, but I think we did, and Dave did an awesome job. He's obviously well schooled on this topic, that, we gave you guys some things that you seriously need to consider. Does that mean that you need to say, I'm a flat earther, and, shout it from the rooftops? No, but quietly go around your research and keep looking up these things,
Yeah, guys, what I say is, don't, if you're going to start looking into this, if you really start looking into it and start looking at the real information, you will get so excited that you're going to tell everybody, and they're going to totally make fun of you. Yep. Right? They're going to totally make fun of you. Oh, that didn't work out. I was trying to put up my my QR code, but that didn't work. They're going to totally make fun of you. So what I say is, just keep it in your pocket. Keep it in your pocket for as long as you can, and get the app, watch the daily videos, go into the archives, educate yourself, hit the frequently asked questions, take a few weeks, turn off the TV, and then until the shit show starts with the election, then turn on the TV because it's going to be epic.
Oh, yeah, it's going to get crazy for sure. Absolutely, it will.
And learn, just ask questions, because every single question you have has a decent answer. We don't know everything, but we know, and not every flat earther agrees on everything, but we all agree that we don't live on a spinning ball. It makes absolutely no sense. See this shot from the space station?
Oh,
Looks
yeah.
pretty good. What's wrong with that shot? Does the Earth look flat?
Let me see. Well, what they're showing you, a bit of it looks to be a little straight for sure.
Does it look to be a little straight? The
little,
truth is,
little slight curve to it.
I have you in a ridiculous argument because it's filmed in a swimming pool, and I added that background. Okay?
I love it.
Do you know that NASA trains in the National Buoyancy Lab, which has a full replica of the space station underwater, and they have green screens in the pool and everything?
Oh.
Go ahead, Severe. I think he might have. I don't know if he's losing, but yeah, I've seen that before where they're actually training these people underwater, and then they green screen it to you're looking like this. I mean, it's pretty easy to do with green screen stuff nowadays, and they've had technology that I saw from 5 or 6 years ago where they can actually do real time editing on live streams. And they still have mess ups. They still have mistakes. Where a guy was showing like a hubcap. It was like a live stream. On one side, it was a hubcap of a Mercedes-Benz. And on the other side, it was the same hubcap, but they removed the Mercedes-Benz emblem out of the middle. So it shows that they can actually do this stuff and mess with these things in real time. So I'm not, I'm pretty astonished by some of the things I see. And when people say, oh, you guys are stupid or whatever, it's like, have we not showed you some serious issues here that need to be looked into? I think we surely have. I could be wrong, but who knows? But
sure.
Stream. I'm trying to pop this up for you. Severe, you back? You with us? Let's see. I know he has a signal issue from time to time. All right. So yeah, we're at about 2 hours. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I keep getting booted in and out, but I don't know if you guys can hear me now.
Got you now.
I hear you.
Yes, sir. Go for it. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, I was looking at the footage, and there's plenty of footage out there, little air bubbles from the NASA feed itself, from what they're telling you, you're out there in space from the space station and all this nonsense, but you see the bubbles because the footage is taken underwater and then green screen onto that background. I mean,
bubbles in space happens all the time. It's crazy. And,
yeah, not likely.
And sometimes people go, well, it would go up. It went that way. Well, underwater you can film in any orientation that you want, so it doesn't matter. So these bubbles go in all different directions. And by the way, anyone that believes that Elon Musk put a car in space,
smack yourself.
Is not ready for any of this information.
I know. Please smack yourself.
So check this out. That's a shot from that's supposedly Australia. But that is not even as high, I think, as the space station, right? But the space station doesn't have that view. And they're not even as high as the space station when this was taken.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's complete BS. Even the first, was it the first one in space where they literally took the image and they flipped it around and made it look like he was standing in space? I forgot the guy's name, but he was sitting outside of, supposedly outside the ISS or whatever. And the image that they used was like a flipped image of a previous one that they used. It's all BS. It's
all BS. And, saying why the lie, somebody would spill why so many people would have to be involved, or somebody would whistleblow on their deathbed. Those are horrible excuses because there have been whistleblowers. They've just been silenced. Most of the people that are deep enough into this can never whistleblow because the dirt that they have on them is beyond anything that they would ever want exposed. You don't get to these super high positions without having unrevealable, horrors about you, as a way to keep you quiet. So
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Let's see. So yeah, we're at basically 2 hours and 5 minutes. Usually we go about an hour or two, because last week we started talking about this at 40 minutes and it just went,
Yeah.
boom, it's 2 hours. I was like, oh my goodness. But
There's so much to this, and again, if you know the Earth is flat, now is your time to have the balls to start talking to your friends and family. Guess what? You're going to lose some friends. You might even lose some family, right? But you'll make new friends. Yeah. It's time, because our world is being stolen from us, and it's being stolen from us because we believe that we're lost in space on a spinning ball. If you don't have the foundation of this world to rest your feet on, you can be manipulated, and everything is being taken from us. So the time is up. We're here. This is the end of the road. Anything that you need to start screaming from the rooftops as the best that you can without sounding like a madman. I'm here talking about flat Earth. Okay, that's pretty tough to do, but people are getting it. I mean, we flat earthers would be gone a long time ago if it was baloney. It's not, though.
Yeah, and if you were to listen to people that say, oh, you're an idiot, you're a divider, you're this, you're that, you would have never had the cojones to actually put out a video. It's just like when I see these chats, it's like, I understand you're never going to make anybody happy, and you're always going to have the people that want to be the, quote, smart guys that want to pretend like they're smarter than everybody else. And I think that's the ultimate ignorance, is not looking into something.
So some of the mod just got rid of it, but Grandy 27 just had a good proof. He said flat Earth is, and then he put the emoji of a poop. So
that's
the best proof they have.
Yeah, you
that
guys
literally
are
is the best proof they have. What I say to people when they say it's stupid, I'm like, you know what? God, I hope you're right. Can you just give me one proof of the globe? Just one proof, and I will delete my channel. I will take my app out of the store. I will go get a regular job. I will stop this completely for one proof. I've been saying that for 5 years. Okay,
and $1,000 apparently too.
You know what? I know I would say 10,000, but when you say 10,000, people are like, "Oh, he's not serious." 1,000's more believable.
Yeah.
But if you want 10,000, you can have 10,000, because I'm not worried. There's plenty of rewards out there, because nobody can prove the globe. Yeah. We can disprove the globe for sure. We can show you, things like our Black Swan experiment, where you can see the water beyond the towers, beyond the oil platforms. Impossible, I like to say. Again, I'm ripping the foundation out from underneath your feet if this is new from you. But guess what? You get a little pissed off that you were lied to. You get a little scared. Okay, that's all right. Your whole world was just turned upside down. And then you get empowered, and then you become awake, and then you could start to see. And then you realize, you know what, I should stop drinking that fluoridated water, right? and see if I can learn some more stuff. And then you get healthier, and life gets better. It's the greatest thing ever. And that's truth. Because if you live your entire life as a lie, you're lost and powerless.
Yeah, and I'll just add too, and then I'll give it to Severe for a sec for his parting words and let us know what he's working on going forward as well. But when you were discussing earlier, talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson, the actor, and Bill Nye, the science clown, he has a video, and I've actually destroyed that video, and it doesn't take much either. The Big Bang in 8 minutes by Neil deGrasse Tyson. In the beginning, blah 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 blah. Within 8 seconds of that video, he says, "Going to admittedly speculative physics." Wait, hold on. Wait, you just started the Big Bang, and that 8 seconds into the story of an 8-minute video, you're already saying what you're talking about is speculative. Like, really?
This is the Neil deGrasse Tyson illustration. These bulges of water are high tide, and he says they stay where they are, and the Earth spins within those bulges. Oh, and that's how we get high tides.
I think he's smoking something.
They don't have anything else to go on, so
it's like pear-shaped. What do you got, Severe? What are you working on? What's heading up the pike?
I've actually got a new video dropping tonight. Maybe you could release it on your channel later, man, if you're down.
I could drop it. I could even play it here at the end if you want. We could do whatever you want.
Yeah, that would be amazing,
You
man.
ready for a little rap music, Dave?
Yeah, and just last thing, guys.
Sure.
If in the app, if you go into settings and scroll down, there's a T-shirt shop. If you want some cool flat Earth T-shirts like this one and
Sweet.
other more aggressive ones, this one is kind of subtle. And everyone's like, "What is that?" And it's like, "It's the Earth." Or like this one right here: unmasked, unmuzzled, unvaccinated, unafraid.
I like it.
There's all sorts of good stuff to spark conversations.
Awesome. Yeah, so you got a new song too. Anything you're working on too, Dave? I don't want to cut Severe off again, but I'll let you get some parting words, and then I'll let Severe set up the song. But any project you're working on? I know you generally do a show, once or twice a week, right?
I do. Anybody that that has an audience of, especially people that think flat Earth is dumb, that hate flat Earth, have me on. Let's have a discussion like this. Let me answer your questions. And you can reach me at info@theflatearthpodcast.com. Please get the app. It's a great tool for teaching other people and educating yourself. I put a lot of work into the daily videos. They're not always mine. Sometimes they're mine, but mostly they're other people's videos that Google is hiding from you. The app is all you need to wake up. All the information you need to wake yourself up and others.
Yeah, and for $3, like you said, it's like a cup of coffee. I already grabbed it the other day and think it's pretty cool because you always, well, if the Earth is flat, well, why this? Well, you got that nice section there. Why is this? Why this? Boom, just click it on and they're ready to go. So I like that for sure.
Right, and the other thing is go into your phone settings, into notifications, go to FE clock, and turn on visible with lock screen. Otherwise, you get the notification and you won't see because every day the notification tells you what the video is about. But if you don't see it and you click it, it just brings you to the app. The notification will be gone then, and you'll have to just click the video. So if you have it always show notifications in your notification settings, you'll just have a better experience. But again, if you hate notifications, turn them off and you won't get any.
Yeah, I'm always like that because I do a lot of my videos on the phone with the notifications, so I always turn
the other
them
thing
on
is, you have to sign, you have to click accept the terms, the terms, whatever. It's the minimum that Apple and Android require. The app needs your location to set your time zone, but for those people that don't like having their location on, you can go into settings. You can turn off the location and set it manually, so it knows where you are. The app can just put the right map down because it's a different map for each time zone.
Yeah, Apple requires a certain amount of tracking for their apps.
Yeah, well, but no, what I'm saying is this app doesn't. If you have the location on, it sets the map automatically. But if you don't like having your location on, you can set it manually. You can just tell it to set it to East Coast time, West Coast time, Budapest time, whatever.
So for those of you who are worrying about people tracking you or whatnot, so yeah, that's awesome.
Right. And you could also share the app with people. There's a little share button. You could buy it for them, or you can just share the link. It's really, and for those of you that are awake to flat Earth, nothing better than converting a friend or family or even a stranger to flat Earth, because then you got someone to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm telling you, guys, for those of you who are just so staunchly against it, go into it with the thought of trying to debunk it. And I just gotta say,
we all got here.
You're gonna be pleasantly confused. So Severe, we got your song up and ready to rock and roll. You want to set this one up, and then and what you got going on or whatever in the next week or so? I know we'll be back here next Tuesday, 3 p.m. But other than that,
it's a brand new joint. I literally just wrapped it up yesterday. Bree is, I think, still in the chat. Shout out to her. Much love as always.
Digital Queen killing it.
She rocked out a video for it, and I'm excited to premiere it.
All right, we're gonna rock this out, Dave. I will share the screen with you guys just so you guys can both see what the peeps are seeing here as well. Let me just make sure this is shared. So, guys, this is "Ready for the Rain" by Severe Anon, and the video by the DQ Digital Queen Bree Eves. "Ready for the Rain." Let's peep this. Oh, exit full screen. No. What the heck? There we go. How about I put some sound on too?
Can you make me a mod in the chat?
Yeah, if you jump in.
Yeah, we'll jump in a second.
Let me turn the sound on here. I'll make you a mod in a sec. All right.
So I can post a link to the app.
No problem.
The year's 2020, but I ain't really sure. Cause by the looks of it, it's like 1984. I've said it for a while, I guess I gotta say it more. The side of darkness is the side they're playing for. A little bit of justice is all we're waiting for. People roaming the streets and don't obey the law. A little bit of peace is what we're praying for. The battle is biblical, now we're waging war. Bring it all to light, got the target in my sight. Never have I ever gone harder in my life. Notice how I come across smarter when I write. You can feel how I pour my heart to this fight. Putting pressure on the cabal until they fall. It's a different game when your back's against the wall. At the point it doesn't even matter who you call, cause pain is coming no matter how long you stall. The storm is here, I hope you're ready for the rain. The name is severe, I hope you're ready for the pain. Ice cold rainwater running through my veins. Nothing left to lose in the whole world to gain. The storm is here, I hope you're ready for the rain. The name is severe, I hope you're ready for the pain. Ice cold rainwater running through my veins. Nothing left to lose in the whole world to gain. 20 years from now to look back on my rhymes and realize I was way ahead of my time. Funny, cause I'm nowhere even in my prime. The way I got these platforms should be a crime. Music is the key to unlocking the mind. It's a crime against humanity, the way they hide their mind. They don't want you thinking for yourself, they want you all in line. They want you blind to the false reality they design. I've had it up to here now with all of their nonsense. Ringing the alarm, but I ain't calling it bomb threats. Bands reaching out, even Vietnam vets say they're riding with me on this digital conquest. Self-bomber attack in lyrical context. You don't wanna get into a lyrical contest. Me and me got rhymes, anybody who want test. Here me got flames, anybody who want next. The storm is here, I hope you're ready for the rain. The name is severe, I hope you're ready for the pain. Ice cold rainwater running through my veins. Nothing left to lose in the whole world to gain. The storm is here, I hope you're ready for the rain. The name is severe, I hope you're ready for the pain. Ice cold rainwater running through my veins. Nothing left to lose in the whole world to gain.
Very, very nice indeed, sir.
Is that new?
That's a new one for sure. Yeah, I was telling him, man, I'd like to get him and ODD together to do a little song.
I can help arrange that if you like.
That'd be awesome because I think they both do a great job. You know what I mean? It's no swearing here on this side, and I don't think ODD does much either. But they're both really good lyricists.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Where do I listen to more of your music?
That you can find.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely listen, man. That one's on Bree's channel.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely link you, Dave. If the mods out there want to drop the link to my YouTube and also to Twitter at Severe Anon, SEVEREANON. Yeah, I've got a whole catalog of that kind of music for people that do not know. Just send me a DM. My music's been deplatformed across multiple sites. You could see why, the stuff I was just talking about. They obviously don't want the truth out there. Ties directly into what we're talking about today. So, yeah, anybody that's interested, definitely hit me up on Twitter. Shoot me a DM, and I will get back to you ASAP.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Awesome. So once again, Dave, I do appreciate you for jumping on with us, and I had a good time, and I know that a lot of people learned a lot of things, and I know a lot of people that even probably came in here with a smart ass attitude probably got a few questions of their own now, which I love.
You know what? You have to just really look at it. If you think that if you say, I cannot believe the earth is flat, I believe it's a globe, ask yourself, what's the reason you believe it's a globe? And when I asked that to Jason Goodman, he said, because that's what I was taught.
Yep. That's what we were drilled. That's what we were brainwashed. And, I'll just touch on it really quickly again, and then we'll hit the road, guys. But, all of the lies that we've learned over the last few years, like Dave was talking about, the fluoridation and the vaxes and even the CV crap and all this stuff that we've been hidden, that they've been spying on millions of people, like, where do you think the lies will end? Like they said, no, you know what, let's stop here. I think we've been bad enough to our people. I don't think we should lie about this. So just keep that in mind, guys.
Yeah.
On your way out. So once again, for my brother Severe, and a big hat tip and a big kudos to Dave Weiss of the DITRH channel. Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Appreciate it very much, sir. And to all you guys for tuning in, all the mods for helping out as usual. Oh, you know what? And just I gotta give a couple thanks for PayPal donations, Dave, and one of them was a question. So I just wanted to thank Shane Carroll. Appreciate that, Shane, and James Clark as well, who asked Dave can overlay NOAA map on a flat Earth map.
The NOAA map?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that is. If you want to follow up with an email, yeah. If you want to follow up with an email, James, SpaceShot76 at Proton Mail, and I'll send it over to Dave, and we'll see what exactly that is, and we'll get you an answer. But I do appreciate, guys, everybody for tuning in, and until that next video, thumbs up. Oh, you got something?
Some people are asking for my email. It's info@theflatearthpodcast.com.
Info. Okay, let's drop that.
Info@theflatearthpodcast.com. Check out the podcast also if you want.
Info.
But if you're gonna send something, get to the point. Keep it brief. If you send me a novel on the first email, I'm not gonna read it. Sorry, there's too many coming in. But show me what you got, and then we can start conversing.
All right, so I'm dropping it again. Info@Flat Earth Show.
At the Flat Earth Podcast. Info at the
Flat Earth Podcast.com. There you go, guys. Yeah. Email Dave. Email info is dropped in here. And awesome. With that said, appreciate everybody for tuning in. And until the next video, thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Peace.